Chapter 229. Hiss. If this was in the outside world, it would definitely cause a terrifying shockwave. However, in this strange space, Chun Hao, who was one with the sword, only managed to travel a few hundred feet before he stopped due to a huge resistance. There was not even a single ripple in the surroundings. However, he had achieved his goal and exhausted all his energy. Refining his energy, practicing the solitary sword technique, using up all his energy in an instant. Just like this, Chun Hao began to cultivate crazily. His cultivation and combat strength were increasing at a speed that was several times faster than the outside world. The energy he breathed in and out became more and more vigorous and majestic. In another sealed area on the third level, hiss, 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 hiss. In the pitch-black space, sounds of air being pierced could be heard. A terrifying killing aura could not spread out in this special space. However, wherever the sword passed, ripples would appear, as if it was trying to break through the restrictions of the surrounding energy. Such a terrifying power was not something Chun Hao could compare to. Golden Core Realm. Only after entering the Golden Core Realm could one be so terrifying. After Yuan entered the third level of the Heavenly Abode, he, who was half a step away from the Golden Core Realm, broke through the barrier and entered the Golden Core Realm in less than 4 hours. A huge door of cultivation was open for him. The energy he absorbed with every breath was several times that of the Xiantian realm. Yuan was sure that his strength had increased by more than 8 times at this moment. The red golden core in his Dantian rotated slowly. With a slight thought, he could release a terrifying energy that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Massacre sword art. First sword. Second sword. Third sword. Ninth sword. Boom. 9 swords connected as his strength increased. When Yuan executed the first sword to the 9th sword, a terrifying explosion suddenly erupted in front of him. The strange space fluctuated violently. Even the stars in front of him, which seemed to be within reach, shook violently at this moment. Rays of starlight actually took advantage of the moment when the sword chi broke through the darkness and poured onto Yuan's body. At this moment, Yuan, who had exhausted all his energy, sat cross-legged and entered the state of cultivation again. To his surprise, there was a trace of understanding in his mind. Heavenly Tao laws. Heavenly Tao laws. 3 days. In just 3 days, I've captured a strand of Heavenly Tao laws. I want to see how Chun Hao is going to tie with me. Ha! Yuan Dao could no longer suppress the excitement in his heart after he truly came into contact with the heavenly law of the catoptric deflection. Just by advancing to the Golden Elixir realm, Yuan Dao had absolute confidence that Chun Hao would not be able to retaliate at all under his sword. After all, although Chun Hao's battle prowess was high, he was still only a martial god. Although Yuan Dao did not believe that Chun Hao was only a rank 1 martial god, with Chun Hao's previous cultivation as a reference, he was at most a medial grade martial god. He should not have hidden much. In just 3 months, no matter how abnormal Chun Hao was, he could only be promoted to level 9 martial god at most. After all, the barrier between the martial god realm and the gold elixir realm was not so easy to comprehend. Especially for Chun Hao, who had made a great leap forward, it was even more difficult to comprehend this barrier. No, that might not be the case. Yuan Dao, who was feeling proud in his heart, suddenly began to doubt himself. With Chun Hao's talent and comprehension, he might really be able to advance to the gold elixir realm. After Yuan Dao fought Chun Hao to a draw, although he did not agree with the outcome and attributed it to the sect leader, he had to admit that Chun Hao's strength had exceeded his expectations and had truly attracted his attention. Therefore, he had thoroughly investigated Chun Hao's information. When he thought of how Chun Hao had created miracles since he started from the 100 Empire ranking, he began to feel uncertain. What am I worried about? So what if he has advanced to the gold elixir realm? Isn't that even better? I can challenge him legitimately and defeat him, or even kill him to eliminate my inner demons. In 3 months, I will definitely be able to combine the 9 swords of the massacre sword art into one and break through to the second stage. Who can stop me? I am a #1 genius of the star-picking sect. No one can compare to me. Phew, letting out a long breath, Yi Wendao directly cut off all distracting thoughts. His state of mind was clear as he calmly immersed himself in tempering and comprehending. The previous sword attack had allowed him to capture a strand of the heavenly Tao law. This had already allowed him to vaguely understand how to comprehend more of the heavenly Tao law. That was to use his strongest attack to break through the endless darkness and be bathed in the starlight. Now, only 3 days had passed. There were still 2 months and 27 days. On the first floor, Tantai Lien was also immersed in cultivating crazily. Having just truly merged with the Phoenix's inheritance, she still had a huge potential that had yet to be unearthed. 2 Nirvana flames had already made her physical body stronger than ordinary genius martial sages. Almost all the impurities in her body had been expelled from her body. Such an advantage was definitely unimaginable to ordinary intent martial sages. Once intent martial sages stepped into the martial sage realm, the most difficult thing was tempering the physical body like cultivators. This was also the main reason why intent martial sages were restricted from improving. However, this most difficult thing had become the easiest for Tantai Lien. There was almost no restriction at all. The direct result of this was that Tantai Lien had just stepped into the 7-star cave to cultivate for a day, and her entire body emitted a dense aura. On the 2nd day, it appeared again. On the 4th day, it appeared again. On the 8th day, it appeared again. Chun Hao felt that his improvement was already fast enough. However, if he were to note Tantai Lien's improvement speed, he would probably be so ashamed that he would find a piece of tofu to kill himself. As for Tantai Lien, on the 8th day, which was the 4th time she had advanced, the bright stars actually penetrated the endless darkness on their own. Faint starlight poured onto Tantai Lien's body. A strand of the heavenly Tao law naturally allowed Tantai Lien to have a slight understanding. Tantai Lien did not feel proud at all. Instead, she was still fully immersed in cultivating. It cannot be helped. As long as anyone treated Chun Hao as their goal, it would be hard for them to feel proud. In particular, Tantai Lien subconsciously thought that since she could improve so quickly, Chun Hao would definitely be faster than her. What was there to be proud of? However, she did not know that this time she could really be proud. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed quickly. This was the last day. The 7 Stars Grotto Heaven would only be open for 3 months. On the last day, the mysterious runes on the Jiaxing Peak would appear again and last for an entire day. The disciples cultivating in the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven would come out of the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven on their own from time to time. They would not come out at the same time. There was no pattern to the order in which they came out. After thousands of years of inheritance, the Jiaxing sect was already clear that this was determined based on one's cultivation situation. Usually, they would come out when they had just finished cultivating. If they were cultivating, they would not be interrupted. Only disciples who had not yet awakened from their cultivation state would be ejected at the same time at the last moment. On this day, early in the morning, the Jiaxing sect master, Yuan Tairan, the inner sect elders, and the outer sect elders all gathered on the Jiaxing Peak. 2 hours later, the mysterious runes finally opened slowly under the expectant gazes of the important figures of the Jiaxing sect. About 15 minutes later, the space above the mysterious rune's core suddenly fluctuated violently. "It's out," an outer sect elder said. Hiss! Just as he finished speaking, a figure appeared before everyone's eyes. "Greetings, sect master. Greetings, elders." The disciple who had just walked out of the 7-star paradise had a trace of excitement on his face as he bowed. This disciple was ranked 6th among the lower disciples, Li Xiaojiang, who had entered the first layer of the paradise. "Xiaojiang, what grade? What did you comprehend?" The elder of the 6th peak asked with anticipation as he sensed Li Xiaojiang's aura. Boom! Li Xiaojiang immediately released his aura. With a trace of joy on his face, he said, "5th grade martial saint, I have comprehended the true essence of the earth attribute." "Good." The elder of the sixth peak immediately praised. Not bad. From a ninth grade martial ancestor to a fifth grade martial saint, you have jumped 5 grades and even comprehended a heavenly law. Such a result is not bad. Yuan Tyron's eyes flashed with admiration and excitement as he spoke. It seems that this disciple's harvest this time will be great. Many elders thought to themselves. Of course, they knew that the excitement in Yuan Tyron's eyes was not because of Li Xiaojing. Li Xiaojing's talent was not bad, but among the 30 disciples, he was only below average. If he could improve so much, then what about the others? Although no one else had come out as a reference, it was at least a good sign. As long as a few more people came out, it would be confirmed. If the people who came out did not improve much, then it could only be said that Li Xiaojing's performance was outstanding and he had obtained opportunities and luck that others did not have. If all of them were good, then it was really good. Hiss. After a while, another disciple came out. What made everyone happy and Li Xiaojing ashamed was that the 7th-ranked disciple who had just entered the second layer of the paradise had also jumped 5 grades, from a 9th grade martial saint to a 5th grade martial god. Furthermore, he had also comprehended a heavenly law. Soon, 6 hours had passed. Out of the 30 disciples, 27 had already come out. The overall improvement of 27 people was better than in previous years. Among the 27 people, apart from the higher disciples, the lowest had increased by 3 grades, and the highest had increased by 7 grades. Li Long and the other higher disciples had a total of 8 people. Including Li Long, 4 of them had broken through the Xiantian barrier and stepped into the early Golden Core realm. Among the 27 people, 10 of them had comprehended a heavenly law. Just the current results had far surpassed in previous years. Not to mention, the 3 people that everyone was looking forward to the most had yet to come out. Once these 3 people came out, if nothing unexpected happened, the overall results would be higher. These 3 people were Yuan Dao, Chun Hao, and Tantai Lien. Everyone, including Yuan Tyran, was looking forward to the cultivation level of these 3 people. This was especially true for Chun Hao and Tantai Lien. It was not that Yuan Dao was inferior to the 2 of them, but that Yuan Dao was a half-step Golden Core realm cultivator. It was certain that he would enter the Golden Core realm. However, after entering the Golden Core realm, his improvement would be limited. At most, he would be at the peak of the early Golden Core realm. However, Chun Hao and Tantai Lien were different. Second update. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2:30. There is no doubt about Yuan Dao's talent and comprehension. If Chun Hao did not come to the star-picking door, no one among the outer disciples could compete with him. How much could he improve? It was certain that he could reach the Golden Core realm. However, it could only be the early stage of the Golden Core realm. After surpassing the innate realm, one's cultivation progress would become extremely slow. Without sufficient time, opportunity, comprehension, and spiritual pills, it was normal for one to stay in the early stage of the Golden Core realm for a few years. Even a super genius like Yuan Dao would not be able to improve from the early stage to the middle stage without 1 or 2 years. This was also the reason why people were looking forward to Chun Hao and Tantai Lien. They were still far away from the Golden Core realm and had more room for improvement. In 3 months, could Chun Hao improve from the 1st grade martial god to the 9th grade martial god or the Golden Core realm? How much could Tantai Lien, who was already a 2nd grade martial saint, improve? Time passed by, seeing that the closing time of the 7 stars paradise was getting closer. Everyone's expression became more and more expectant. Everyone knew that in a short while, the 3 of them would be forcefully ejected from the 9 stars paradise, even though they were cultivating. However, the 3rd floor of the 7 stars paradise. Only 2 hours were left before the closing time of the 7 stars paradise. Massacre sword art, 9 swords in 1 break. Hiss. The man and sword became one, turning into a brilliant sword light that tore apart the endless darkness. It was like a blood-red rainbow that pierced through the stars. Shortly after, the stars emitted a resplendent light, and the sword light disappeared. Yu and Dao appeared under a magical night sky. He stared at the 7 stars hanging high in the night sky with an arrogant and excited expression. The first floor of the 7 stars paradise. Only 1 hour was left before the closing time of the 7 stars paradise. Nirvana flame, burn heaven and earth break. Gaga. Whoosh. Accompanied by 2 phoenix cries that resounded through the world, raging flames rose up. Tantai Lien, who was in the flames of nirvana, was like a dazzling meteor. She streaked across the endless darkness and charged towards the illusory stars. The stars were resplendent. Tantai Lien disappeared into the endless darkness. Did he come in? Tantai Lien's beautiful eyes shone with excitement as she stared at the 7 stars in the night sky. Even she did not expect herself to improve so quickly. In just 3 short months, her level had soared. Breaking through Willpower Saint and stepping into Willpower was already beyond her imagination. But in the end, when Tantai Lien stepped into the Intent God Realm, she had fused the Phoenix Inheritance to the 6th step. Tantai Lien's physical body had been completely refined into a Nirvana golden body, causing her speed of advancement to soar once again. When the 3 months were about to end, she had unexpectedly broken through to the early stage of the Golden Elixir Realm. Furthermore, she had formed a subtle connection with the 7 stars paradise, allowing her to understand what she needed to do and how she should do it. And now, she had done it. He had stepped into the true 7 stars grotto heaven. It wasn't the 7 floors that the Sectmaster had mentioned, but a separate space. The 7 stars were aligned, blooming together in a space. It was almost the same situation as Yu and Dao. Just as Tantai Lien appeared, a figure who had been cultivating for almost an hour suddenly opened his eyes several thousand feet away from Tantai Lien. Someone else has comprehended it. Could it be Chun Hao? This figure was Yu and Dao. After sensing the sudden ripple in the space, Yu and Dao immediately guessed that it was Chun Hao. This was because among the 30 disciples who had entered this time, only Chun Hao's talent, comprehension, and strength were comparable to his. Chun Hao had broken through the shackles of endless darkness and entered the true 7 stars grotto heaven. Good. Very good. This is the best. This is where you belong. Yu and Dao's eyes shone with arrogance and viciousness as he mumbled. Even though he knew that since Chun Hao had entered, he must have also stepped into the Golden Elixir Realm, but he was not afraid at all. There was only a monstrous killing intent. This was because he believed that after advancing to the early stage of the Golden Elixir Realm, mastering the 9 swords as one, and stepping into the 2nd level of the Massacre Sword Principle, Chun Hao would definitely not be a match for him. Since Chun Hao had entered, how could he let him go? Even if he had to sacrifice some of his cultivation time, it would be worth it. This was because, as someone who cultivated the Massacre Sword Principle, he would not allow any failure. If he did not kill Chun Hao, there would be a heart demon in his massacre heart, which would become the main factor that restricted his cultivation. If he did not kill Chun Hao now, even if he had the ability to kill Chun Hao after leaving the 7 stars grotto heaven, the sect would not allow it. At most, he would lose the battle. However, that outcome was obviously not as satisfying as killing Chun Hao. Hiss! As soon as Yi Wan Dao finished his words, he turned into a ray of light and flew in the direction of the ripple. This mystical space of the 7 stars pearl was filled with even more heaven and earth energy. The only difference was that it had become 7 resplendent stars. Moreover, the resplendent starlight had merged into one, bringing with it a profound aura that could pierce through the darkness and directly pour onto one's body. At all times, one could sense the profound aura of the heavenly Tao laws. The entire space seemed to be under the starry sky. It was no longer an endless darkness where one could not even see one's own fingers. It was not something the 1st to 3rd levels could compare to. Tantai Lien, who was staring at the 7 stars excitedly, suddenly felt a sharp and terrifying killing intent spread over. She quickly turned her head and saw a ray of light approaching her from afar. Under the faint starlight, Tantai Lien could not see the other party's appearance. However, this aura instantly made Tantai Lien frown slightly. What a strong, killing intent. It should be you and Dao. Tantai Lien instantly determined the other party's identity from his aura. Among the 30 disciples, only Yi Wendao's killing intent was so strong. A bad premonition appeared in Tantai Lien's heart. It was obvious that Yi Wendao had sensed the ripple when she entered the space. What was he doing here instead of cultivating in such an excellent place for cultivation? Tantai Lien frowned as she looked at the rapidly approaching figure. She silently circulated the energy around her to the maximum. It's actually her. Yi Wendao, who had wanted to attack directly, suddenly stopped when he was 100 feet away from Tantai Lien. He stared at Tantai Lien with a cold expression and thought to himself in surprise. The strong killing intent on his body was slightly restrained before it erupted again without restraint. His eyes were filled with viciousness and cruelty as he looked at Tantai Lien. However, he did not immediately attack. Before Tantai Lien entered the Seven Stars Grotto Heaven, she was only a low-grade intent saint. I didn't expect her to advance to the Golden Core realm. She's Chun Hao's Dao companion, and she's an intent one. Such a Dao companion is a treasure in the cultivation world. Yu Wendao's mind spun rapidly. His expression became increasingly cold and vicious. Before entering the Seven Stars Paradise, although he was a little envious of Chun Hao for having a Dao companion like Tantai Lien, he did not take it to heart. After all, there was a huge gap between Tantai Lien and Chun Hao's combat strength. They still needed time to really get used to each other. But now, Tantai Lien's terrifying advancement made him feel a huge threat. The intense saint had entered the Golden Core realm. Once such a woman walked out of the Seven Stars Paradise and dual cultivated with Chun Hao would be like a fish in water and obtain incomparable benefits. The speed of their cultivation advancement would surpass that of ordinary disciples. Even he could not compare, unless he could also find a Dao companion like Tantai Lien. But how could it be so simple? Die. This woman must die. Otherwise, even if Chun Hao has not advanced to the Golden Core realm now, he will advance rapidly because of this woman after he leaves. She is a huge threat to me. Unless Yi Wendao thought of something and stared at the vigilant Tantai Lien. He suddenly withdrew his killing intent and said, "Junior sister Tantai Lien, right? I did not expect your talent to be so high. I was just lucky. There are only 4 months left in the Seven Stars Paradise. Senior brother Yi, you should focus on cultivation." Tantai Lien stared at Yi Wendao and said coldly. Even though she looked calm on the surface, the strong sense of danger made Tantai Lien not dare to relax. She knew how strong Yi Wendao was. Even though she had already advanced to the Golden Core realm and narrowed the gap between her and Yi Wendao, his terrifying aura was still not something she could resist. But Tantai Lien was nervous, but she was not afraid. At least, in her opinion, even though Yi Wendao was unwilling to come to a draw with Chun Hao and was their strongest competitor, they were still from the same sect. She believed that Yi Wendao was not cold-blooded enough to kill her. Is that so? Indeed, you should focus on cultivation. Then let's not waste time talking nonsense. I'll give you 2 choices. First, die. Second, be my Dao companion. Do it now. Shameless. Tantai Lien was instantly enraged. Bang! A majestic and terrifying flame was emitted from her body as she pointed her sword at Yi Wendao. How do I choose to die? Think carefully. Don't think that you are qualified to fight me just because you have advanced to the Golden Core realm. Killing you is as easy as killing a chicken. Being my Dao companion is the wisest choice. Of course, you are already Chun Hao's woman. To put it bluntly, you are a used shoe. Therefore, I can treat you well, but only in the dark. After we go out, you can only be my woman in private. My talent is better than Chun Hao's. Moreover, it won't be long before he dies under my sword. I'm speaking the truth. A wise man submits to circumstances. Make your choice. Nirvana, burning heaven. Tantai Lien's furious shout was the reply to Yi Wendao. She was too naive. She did not expect Yi Wendao to be so shameless. Her illusion of being a fellow disciple after entering the sect was instantly shattered. In the face of benefits and competition, what was the point of talking about friendship? She knew that she was no match for Yi Wendao, but she still attacked. She knew that she would die, but she did not choose to surrender. She was already Chun Hao's woman. Even though she was still perfect, their experience was no different from the fusion of yin and yang to a woman. Moreover, she knew that her body and heart were the same. She would rather die than surrender. Child's play. Looks like your confidence is inflated? Then I'll show you what I'm made of. Break. First update. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 231. Yi Wendao seemed to have casually swung his sword, but in fact he was also slightly shocked. Tantai Lian, who had just reached the golden core stage, attacked furiously. This was definitely the strongest attack that Yi Wendao had ever encountered. Even he did not dare to let his guard down. Although he made it sound easy, he had directly used the second level of the massacre sword principle to fuse the first 3 swords into a single sword. Don't kill me, don't kill me. With me by your side, I can definitely help you dominate the world of cultivation. Itoda, who was being suppressed by the 5 divine beasts in Chun Hao's mind, begged for mercy and fear. At this moment, Itoda's nascent soul was not being refined by Chun Hao. Instead, under the suppression of the mysterious runes, it was absorbing the endless energy of heaven and earth, making it bigger and stronger. Moreover, the new energy was like a chain that separated the original energy of the nascent soul, imprisoning it piece by piece. Even if Itoda's soul was destroyed, the energy it contained would not be able to cause any trouble. Because of this, Chun Hao decided to kill this fly in his mind. You are just a prisoner, a remnant of your soul. Can you help me dominate the world of cultivation? Chun Hao said disdainfully. Yes, absolutely. I've been roaming the eastern continent for hundreds of years. I'm experienced and knowledgeable. I know a lot of secrets that your sect disciples don't know. I also have the great art of possession and the Ecstasy Heart Sutra in my head. The art of possession can make you immortal and stay young forever. The art of ecstasy is even more powerful. It can be used for dual cultivation. You can use yin to supplement yang. It can increase your enjoyment. Other than these two, I also have the art of concealment. With your amazing talent, you can definitely cultivate it to the highest level and hide your cultivation level at will. Oh, is it really as good as you say? It's absolutely true. You have just entered the world of cultivation and might not know. I, Itoda, am only at the peak of the late nascent soul stage. However, I can do whatever I want in the Eastern continent. Not only the core disciples like Yi Feishue, but also countless elders and rogue cultivators who are stronger than them want to get the reward for killing me. However, no one could do it. It's because I have these 3 ultimate techniques. If not for my poor talent and my inability to find a strong physical body, I would have stepped into the embodiment realm or even the essence soul realm a long time ago. The incarnation realm, also known as the leaving aperture realm, was an existence 1 level higher than the nascent soul realm. When the nascent soul left the body, it would form an avatar. At the highest level, the nascent soul could be divided into 9 avatars. It was equivalent to having 9 extra lives. As for the essence soul realm, it was an existence 1 level higher than the embodiment realm. When the nascent soul and the soul completely fused, it would become the primordial spirit. Even if an essence soul realm expert's physical body was destroyed, as long as their essence soul was not destroyed, they could possess another body or be reborn. Possession was similar to Itoda's possession technique. Rebirth, on the other hand, was to directly enter the body of the unborn baby in the mother's womb. After overcoming the mystery of being in the womb, one would awaken their memories. This was the legendary reincarnation of an immortal. This was also the choice made by many essence soul realm experts when their lifespans were nearing their end. You're right. Unfortunately, this is an ultimate technique of the Devil Dao, and it's completely useless to me. So it's better for you to die. Wait. Wait for me to finish. You probably don't know that the so-called righteous path and devil Tao are only different in terms of refining and absorbing energy. There is no difference in terms of cultivation techniques. You absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and the righteous energy of heaven and earth, while we of the devil Tao absorb the evil energy of heaven and earth and the demonic energy of heaven and earth. Other than this difference, there's no difference at all. These three ultimate techniques of mine were obtained from a genius disciple of a sect by chance. Is that so? Chun Hao was slightly taken aback. In the summary of the Eastern continent, there was no mention of devil Tao cultivation techniques, but the words revealed the evilness of the devil Tao. Yes, if you don't believe me, you can ask the experts of the Jiaxing sect before making a decision. If that's the case, then teach it to me now. Chun Hao, who was immersed in his mind, said without hesitation. You agree not to kill me? That depends on whether you're as valuable as you say. Don't worry, I guarantee that you'll be satisfied. I'll teach it to you now. Ga. At this moment, two strange cries, which were filled with rage and sorrow, suddenly pierced through Chun Hao's body, as if they were ringing from the depths of his soul. The phoenix is in danger? Chun Hao was shocked. He had no time to pay attention to Edo Ta. His mind suddenly escaped from his mind and returned to his body. For hours ago, he had advanced to the golden core stage and had broken through the endless darkness with his powerful strength. He had arrived at the real seven-star cave and started to destroy Edo Ta. He had never thought that Tantai Lien would be able to come in, and he had never thought that Tantai Lien would be in danger in this magical place for cultivation. If not for the fact that the inheritance of the phoenix did not belong to Tantai Lien, he, who was immersed in his mind, would not have heard the cries of the phoenix. Could it be Yuan Dao? Swoosh! Chun Hao turned into a stream of light and sensed the aura of the phoenix. Anger rose in his heart. Tantai Lien being able to enter the seven-star cave was completely out of Chun Hao's expectations. Yuan Dao was the only one who could be in danger. Thinking of Yuan Dao's terrifying battle strength and talent, Chun Hao was sure that it was Yuan Dao, even though he had not sensed any aura. Otherwise, even an expert like Li Long would not be able to threaten Tantai Lien now. Chun Hao knew that since Tantai Lien could enter this place, she must have reached the golden core stage. Otherwise, no matter how strong the intent realm was, she would not be able to break through the endless darkness. Even when Chun Hao was at the peak of the dual god realm, he could not break through, let alone Tantai Lien. Tantai Lien, I'll give you one last chance. With your talent, if you can become my Tao companion, not only me, but you will also be able to improve tremendously. Yuan Dao, agree to let you be my Tao companion. How about it? Yuan Dao had used the second realm of the Massacre Sword principle to combine 6 swords into one, but he still could not suppress Tantai Lien. He was truly shocked. This was especially so for Tantai Lien's quintessential essence, which could give birth to crystals with just a thought, the strength of the phoenix's inheritance, and her beautiful face, which was becoming more and more pleasing to the eye. Yuan Dao was truly tempted. The quintessential essence produced by an intent realm cultivator would bring him endless benefits if he were to dual cultivate with her. Although in his heart, as well as everyone else's, Tantai Lien was already Chun Hao's woman. For the sake of cultivation, he gave in and said that they would be Tao companions. Although he was destined to be despised and mocked by some people, as long as he could increase his strength rapidly, it was fine. Whoever said that would be killed. When he was strong enough and Tantai Lien was of no use to him, he could just abandon or kill her. Dream on. Tantai Lien, who was covered in flames and covered in wounds, said sternly with a furious expression. Blood was still flowing out of her mouth. However, the Nirvana Flame's aura was getting weaker and weaker, and her delicate body was trembling. Not only was she severely injured, but even the Phoenix was severely injured and extremely weak. It was no longer able to help Tantai Lien launch any attacks. This was the true Massacre Sword Tao, combining 6 swords into one. Tantai Lien knew that she was probably going to die here today, but she had no regrets. The only thing in her mind was Chun Hao, who was sometimes cold and sometimes warm to her, but could also avoid her. Although Yi Wendao's words were extravagant, and although dual cultivating with Yi Wendao could indeed allow her to survive and develop very well, but she was not swayed at all. She was no longer the young girl who had bad thoughts for the sake of becoming stronger. She had already grown up and understood what feelings were. Especially at this moment, she understood very clearly. Although she did not know what Chun Hao was thinking, she had already confirmed her heart. Do you really want to die? What's there to be afraid of death? You shameless person. Chun Hao will not let you off. Ha! Do you think I will let him off? Since you're so dead set on him, then you can die. Of course, I won't let you die so easily. Ha ha! I'll let you die in comfort. I really want to know what expression Chun Hao will have when he finds out that his woman died under my legs. Although we can't dual cultivate, it's not bad to have a taste of your broken shoes. Don't worry, he will follow you very soon. You can meet again on the road to the netherworld. Tantai Lian's face instantly turned pale when she heard Yi Wendao's words, and then a strand of determination flashed through her eyes. The aura around her suddenly rose violently, and she stared at Yi Wendao with a cold and resolute expression as she said, "Don't even think of getting your way. I only have one Dao companion in the past, in the present, and in the future. I only belong to him. My body and heart only belong to him. Chun Hao." Boom! Chun Hao! Tantai Lian looked up at the sky and used all her strength to shout out Chun Hao's name. Incomparably firm, incomparably persistent, with longing, with reluctance, with decisiveness. In the instant she shouted out these two words, she felt an unprecedented clarity and tranquility in her body and mind. She no longer had any fear or regret. Do you want to self-destruct? It's too late. Condense. Yi Wendao's murderous eyes flickered with an evil aura as he spoke with disdain and strategizing. As he spoke, countless pure and domineering true essence suddenly seemed to have been lying in ambush around Tantai Lian, and it sealed her meridians at lightning speed. At the same time, an even more terrifying energy suddenly shook the Baihui acupoint on the top of Tantai Lian's head. Immediately, Tantai Lian felt her vision turn black, and her consciousness started to dissipate. She slowly closed her eyes, and they flickered with incomparable despair and humiliation. No matter what, she never thought that even self-destruction would become an extravagant hope at this moment. She was really scared. Death was not scary, but being blasphemed to death by this shameless person was something she could not accept. But now, she knew that it was all over. Amidst the boundless fear and despair, her consciousness slowly disappeared. Puff! A sword light suddenly appeared the moment Tantai Lian closed her eyes. Second update. Sorry, the update was late. A classmate came to my house to play, and he came without saying anything. What a pain in the ass. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 232. There was no dangerous aura, nor was there any explosion of energy. There was only the soft, almost inaudible sound of a sharp weapon cutting into a body. Yi Wendao felt the sword from the top of his head to the bottom of his legs suddenly become slightly cold. He saw a cold light flash past his forehead. He suspected that it was an illusion and couldn't help but lower his head to take a look. The tip of a sword was slowly being pulled out from between his legs. It was a sword. At this moment, Yi Wendao's eyes widened in shock. All the hair on his body stood on end. He suddenly activated his energy and turned his head to look. Puff! Puff! From the top of his head to between his legs, blood suddenly spurted out like arrows, shooting out like they were free. Even now, Yi Wendao did not feel any pain. Everything seemed unreal. However, the energy in his body was no longer under his control. He saw a face with cold eyes and an otherworldly handsome face. At this moment, the sword in the figure's hand trembled once more. Instantly, dense streams of coldness grew in his body. Yi felt like his body was like air, unable to obstruct the sword at all. The astonished Yi wanted to say something, but no words came out. Asterisk crash. Asterisk, he suddenly felt that his head had lost its support. Out of the corner of his eyes, he saw that his body was like a pile of mud, turning into small pieces 1 centimeter at a time. His head was split into 2, and his eyes were separated. He fell into the minced meat. There was no pain. Everything happened too quickly, so quickly that he didn't even have time to feel his own pain. It was as if he had jumped out of his body. He looked down at his physical body in extreme horror, as well as the figure in front of him who had dismembered him. Endless fear and unwillingness roared in his heart. He knew that he was finished. At this moment, all that remained was his soul. After stepping into the golden core realm, a powerful soul that could exist for a period of time before dissipating. His short and glorious life had come to an end. He had to escape into the cycle of reincarnation and start anew. Monstrous hatred spread out at this moment, like a gust of ghastly and bone-piercing cold wind. Refine. Ka! Whoosh! At this moment, Chun Hao's incomparably cold voice, which seemed to have come from hell, suddenly rang out. Soon after, a strange cry that resounded throughout the world rose together with endless flames. The divine beast Vermilion Bird formed the Vermilion Bird seal. Yi Wendao's soul was immediately sucked in by a strong, fearless, devouring force. The Nirvana heavenly flame burned fiercely. As Yi Wendao's soul let out a miserable shriek, it was faintly discernible within the Vermilion Bird seal. After a moment, there were no more fluctuations. The Nirvana heavenly flame also slowly extinguished and returned to Chun Hao's mind. His divine soul had been destroyed. On the star-picking peak, seeing that it was time for the 7 stars grotto heaven to close, everyone's eyes were fixed on the mysterious rune in the middle. Everyone knew that it was time for Yi Wendao, Chun Hao, and Tantai Lien to come out. Even though the 3 of them were still cultivating, when the 3 months were up, they would be forcibly ejected. This kind of situation had happened many times in the past. However, this Yuan Tairan, the sect master of the star-picking sect, the many elders, and the 27 disciples who were still waiting, were extremely shocked. Chun Hao and the other 2 did not come out, but the light of the mysterious runes began to weaken, and then they disappeared before everyone's eyes. What happened? Voices rang out as everyone looked at Yuan Tairan. However, Yuan Tairan's expression was as shocked and confused as everyone else. After a short moment of silence, Yuan Tairan suddenly thought of something. His eyes shone with excitement as he said, Could it be that the 3 of them broke through to the 4th level? It must be so. It must be so. Ah! Exclamations of surprise came from everyone's mouths. It's impossible to die in the 7 stars grotto heaven. The 1,000-year-old inheritance. Has the 4th level finally been opened? Ha! Yuan Tairan could no longer remain calm. His expression was filled with intense excitement and joy as he spoke. After he finished speaking, he laughed to the sky to vent the excitement in his heart. Sect Master, is this true? Absolutely. Yi Wendao, Chun Hao, and Tantai Lien. Among the 3 of them, even Tantai Lien is a rare genius disciple of our star-picking sect, let alone Yi Wendao and Chun Hao. Our star-picking sect's fortune has finally arrived. Elders, follow me to ask the Grand Elder for help. As long as we can lock onto the aura of the 4th level of the 7 stars grotto heaven, our disciples will be able to cultivate on the 4th level. Ha! If I haven't guessed wrong, the 4th level is a treasured cultivation ground for core formation experts. Let's go. Yes. Whoosh. Whoosh. One by one, the figures disappeared on the spot and headed towards the highest palace on the star-picking peak, leaving behind a dumbfoundedly Long and the other disciples. Amazing. The 3 of them actually made it to the 4th floor. Is the star-picking sect really going to rise? That's great. Oomph. Just wait until our star-picking sect rises in rank. I like to see how those bastards from my family will laugh at me. Ha! As long as I become one of the top 10 inner sect disciples, I will be able to obtain the qualifications to enter the 4th level. I will definitely enter. Li Long's eyes shone brightly as he clenched his fists and said in his heart. Although he was very envious of Chun Hao and the other two, he was not jealous. He believed that his talent was not inferior to anyone else's. It was just that his great opportunity and great fortune had not arrived yet. Li Long wanted to leave immediately and go out to train. However, when he thought that the legendary Grand Elder might be coming, he suppressed the urge to immediately cultivate crazily and stayed. He wanted to see the Grand Elder's unparalleled superpower. Phew! Chun Hao took a deep breath and calmed the anger in his heart. He slowly walked towards the unconscious Tantai Lien. Even Chun Hao felt a bit of lingering fear because he had come too late. Tantai Lien was able to survive because of luck. She was not destined to die. If not for Yi Wendao's lust and Yi Wendao's powerful ability that prevented Tantai Lien from self-destructing in time, even Chun Hao would not have been able to save her. At most, he would have killed Yi Wendao. When the phoenix's wail rang out, Chun Hao was a few hundred miles away from the two of them. In this mysterious space, because the energy was too thick and viscous, flying speed was greatly restricted. He heard Tantai Lien's voice and heard her shouting his name. He saw how determined Tantai Lien was about to self-destruct. However, he could not stop her in time. At that time, he was still 1,000 meters away from the two of them. Fortunately, Yi Wendao stopped her. He gently picked up the heavily injured Tantai Lien. Pure and majestic energy immediately surged out from his dantian and poured into Tantai Lien's body. At the same time, a strand of mental energy fused into Tantai Lien's mind in an attempt to wake her up. What shocked Chun Hao was that after his spiritual power entered Tantai Lien's mind, he could not capture any of her thoughts. Her consciousness seemed to have completely dissipated and could no longer cause any ripples. It was as if a stone had sunk into the sea. What's going on? Chun Hao's expression changed drastically. It felt as if his spiritual power had entered a dead object without any life or intelligence. What shocked him even more was that even the aura of the phoenix had completely disappeared. Chun Hao did not believe it and strengthened his spiritual power again. However, there was still no reaction. I clearly stopped the self-destruction. How can there be no consciousness? How is this possible? Could it be that her physical injuries are too severe and she's already? Chun Hao's expression was extremely ugly. A bad premonition grew in his heart. Help her heal the injuries on her physical body first. At this moment, the voice of the treasure hunting sword's spirit rang out in Chun Hao's mind. What's going on? Chun Hao hurriedly asked in his mind. Her heart is dead. Her heart is dead. Chun Hao trembled all over. You don't have to be too nervous. Although her physical body is severely injured, her soul has not dissipated. However, because of her extreme despair, the will to die was born, causing her soul to enter a state of suspended animation. Because she is unwilling to accept the humiliation of being blasphemed, she would rather she never wake up. This is the so-called death of her heart. Although it's a little troublesome, it's not hopeless. Treat her body first. I'll tell you how to save her later. The treasure hunting sword's spirit said. All right, Chun Hao replied. He immediately circulated his true essence and began to treat Tantai Lien's injuries. Her meridians, dantian, and internal organs were rapidly repaired under the circulation of Chun Hao's pure and majestic energy. However, it was unable to match Chun Hao's freakish recovery speed. After 6 hours, Chun Hao was drenched in sweat. His face was slightly pale, and he had almost exhausted all of his true essence. Finally, he completed the repair. The unconscious Tantai Lien seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep. There was a trace of redness on her face. What should I do now? Chun Hao immediately asked in his mind after confirming that Tantai Lien's body was fine. There are 2 methods. One is to eject your soul into her mind, find the soul residence, and awaken her. You can't do this method for now. You can only wait until you advance to the incarnation realm before you have the ability to eject your soul. At that time, her soul will have dissipated, or you can cultivate the possession technique of the fellow in your mind. It's best if you can master it in a day. If you can't master it in 10 days, it's completely hopeless because every day one of her souls or one of her souls will dissipate. If you can master it in 10 days, the prerequisite is that you must be able to awaken her last remaining soul or one of her souls. Give her the will to live and gather her dissipated soul. If you can revive her, after 10 days, her 3 souls and 7 spirits will completely dissipate. Although they will still be in her mind and have not truly disappeared, you will not be able to awaken them. Even if she can gather them one day, she will lose all of her memories. More accurately, she will become another person, like a newborn baby. Also, the reason why it's best to master it in one day, because she will only be complete if she is awakened in one day. The later she is awakened, the more memories she will lose. Also, the damage to her soul cannot be healed. Then why are you still talking about it? The second method, Chenhao said sternly. The second method is very simple. Yin and Yang blend. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 233. Fusion of Yin and Yang. That's right. Only with the help of the fusion of Yin and Yang can she wake up. The fusion of Yin and Yang is the most mysterious communication between a man and a woman. When Yin and Yang meet, their energy will merge into one and form a big cycle in their bodies. The fusion of energy will lead to the sublimation of their souls and achieve the true fusion of their souls and bodies. At that time, you don't need to wake her up. Your minds will be connected and you will wake up naturally. You won't be affected at all. On the contrary, whether it's you or her, both of you will be greatly improved in the fusion of Yin and Yang. After hearing what the treasure hunting sword spirit said, Chenhao fell silent and frowned. After half a minute, he asked, "Is there no other way?" "No, there are only 2 ways. I'm afraid only the second way can be done. You've already stepped into the golden core realm. Actually, you don't have to worry so much," said the treasure hunting sword spirit. Chenhao didn't say anything else. His mind went directly to Itota's soul. How long will it take to master the possession technique? With my talent, it's the fastest speed. 1 day? No, 16 hours. Can I use it? I have to use it immediately. Cough. That won't do. Why not? You're only in the early stage of the golden core realm. Even if you can understand the possession technique immediately, you have to set up the broken yang and pure yin sacrificial altar before you can use it. Otherwise, your soul will dissipate when it leaves your body, not to mention the possession technique. If I can understand it immediately, how long will it take to use it? If I have all the materials, it will take at least 3 days to set up the broken yang and pure yin sacrificial altar. Also, I have to choose a full moon night. But when I set up the immortal trapping array, all the materials were destroyed by you. Damn it. Chenhao cursed, and his mind jumped out of his mind. A full moon night? There's no full moon here. In 4 months, it'll be too late. Looking at Tantai Lian's motionless figure, Chenhao really had a headache. Facing such a beautiful woman, it was impossible to say that he didn't have any desire. However, in the past, although Chenhao had done this countless times with the best women on earth, it was only an exchange of interests and a pure venting of primitive desires. There was no such thing as soul fusion, but he was also unbridled and fearless because he didn't need to take any responsibility. All he needed to do was to give the other party enough benefits. That was emotionless. However, things were different now. Once he did it, how would he face it? Where should he go from here? The knot in his heart could not be untied. Time ticked by. Every minute and every second was torture for Chenhao. He kept pacing, shaking his head, and looking at Tantai Lian. He fell into intense torment and inner struggle. You still have a way, don't you? In Chenhao's mind, the treasure-hunting sword's spirit sensed the mysterious and terrifying existence and asked, "So what if I do? So what if he didn't?" This is his inner demon. How he chooses is up to him. This time, I can't interfere. Didn't you stop him from mixing yin and yang in the past? Why aren't you stopping me now? The treasure-hunting sword spirit asked unhappily. The past is the past, and the present is the present. This is tempering. What do you know? Human emotions are the most mysterious thing in the world. The power it can unleash is also beyond your imagination. When the time comes, it's up to him to choose. I can only interfere when I'm absolutely sure he's right. When I'm not sure, I can only let him choose. Otherwise, he'll still become my original master. Everyone has their own Tao. Only by walking your own Tao can you truly attain Tao. The mysterious existence's tone was uncertain for the first time. He had accompanied countless masters, but none of them had reached the end. Why was it that under his complete control, they were clearly getting closer and closer to the final goal, but they all failed in the end? Once, twice, thrice, and 4 times. How many times had the same result in a row? He had no choice but to find the problem with himself. It was also because of this that he said what he said just now. Perhaps the root cause of the mistake was him. Everyone had their own Tao, but he had paved the way for everyone to walk on. Therefore, when he met Chunhao this time, he didn't do that again. He only interfered when he was completely sure that he was right. As for the rest, he would let nature take its course. He didn't pave the way. Only when he saw the path Chunhao was going to take would he confirm the direction of his assistance. Fusion of yin and yang. How do I do it? Finally, when there were only 4 hours left and one of Tantai Lien's souls was about to disperse, a gleam flashed through the eyes of Chunhao, who was immersed in struggle and suffering. He seemed to have made up his mind as he spoke in his mind. This, do you still need to ask? Upon hearing Chunhao's words, the treasure-hunting sword spirit knew that Chunhao had already made his decision. However, the question he asked gave the treasure-hunting sword spirit a headache. Cough, cough. In the past, I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any emotions. Now, I don't have any experience at all. Will it be different? This kind of thing, I know, but I'm only an artifact spirit. I can't really understand human emotions. You should just do as you wish. I can't help you. F***CK. Who needs your help? Chunhao gloomily cut off the connection with the treasure-hunting sword spirit. At the same time, he urged his mind to form a mental barrier in his mind. Although these guys weren't humans and didn't understand the true joy of these things between men and women. However, Chunhao was still unwilling to let this kind of thing be watched by countless pairs of eyes. Taking a deep breath, Chunhao looked at Tantai Lien, who seemed to be sleeping soundly. You can understand, right? Chunhao muttered to himself. Helian Wuzi's figure appeared in his mind. There was also a figure that was once real, but had now become illusory again. Xia Yuyu. It wasn't that there was a problem with Xia Yuyu. In reality, the only one who could truly shake his heart when he sealed himself was Xia Yuyu. Perhaps it was because of the 9 revolutions Heaven-Yang Earthine formula, or perhaps it was because of Xia Yuyu's eyes. In short, it was shaking, and Helian Wuzi and Tantai Lien, who really existed beside him, were slowly awakened. Chunhao didn't think about which was more important. Even if he thought about it, he wouldn't have an answer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought of taking things one step at a time. Hiss, hiss, hiss. On the Jiaxing Peak, the leader of the Jiaxing sect, Yuan Tairan, and 6 elders with powerful auras faced the place where the runes of the 7 stars grotto heaven had appeared. They continuously sent out mysterious hand seals that emitted majestic energy fluctuations. They forcibly forced out a trace of the runes that had disappeared. However, it was only a faint trace. No mysterious aura or teleportation hole appeared. In the middle of the 7 people, a drop of blood essence floated. This drop of blood essence was Yi Wendao's, and they were currently capturing Yi Wendao's aura. Any disciple of a sect would leave behind their birth date and a bottle of blood essence after they entered the sect. At the crucial moment, they could rely on the birth date and blood essence aura to lock onto the disciple's aura in the mysterious long river of life. This was also a remarkable ability that would definitely be used when discovering the entrance to a monument or a mysterious space. The more powerful the monument or space, the higher the requirement for the cultivation of the caster. For a powerful cultivation holy land like the 7 stars grotto heaven, Even the leader of the Jiaxing sect couldn't complete it alone. The other 6 elders were the grand elders who were in seclusion in their own grotto heavens. Any one of them had a stronger cultivation than Yuan Tairan. The inner sect elders, outer sect elders, Li Long, and the other 27 disciples all had intense anticipation on their faces as they stared at the 7 people who were casting the spell. Time ticked by. After a full hour, Yuan Tairan and the 6 grand elders gradually frowned. Clearly, they had encountered something that was beyond their expectations. How could this be? After a few more minutes, Yuan Tairan and the 7 grand elders finally gave up. They were all puzzled. Yuan Tairan looked at the 6 grand elders and asked, "Is there a mistake in this disciple's birth date and blood essence? Which peak does he belong to?" "Grand Elder, Yuan Dao belongs to my peak. I personally calculated his birth characters and extracted his blood essence with my own hands, so there's no way I'm wrong. Could it be that you can't sense it?" Meng Shurgang said respectfully. "That's strange. The 7 of us are working together, but we can't sense his aura. That's not right. He must have entered the 4th floor if he hasn't come out yet. As long as he's in the 7 stars grotto heaven, he shouldn't be able to escape our senses." "It's very strange indeed," another Grand Elder said. "Did this Yi Wendao encounter some kind of bloodline inheritance? If his birth date and birth date are correct, it could only be a problem with his blood essence. Unless he obtained some kind of bloodline inheritance that completely changed his fortune, causing his aura and blood essence to lose its effect. Well, Yi Wendao has acquired the legacy from the Sword Lake ruins and is practicing the Tao of Slaughter. Other than that, I'm not too sure. I only know that his luck, talent, battle prowess, and temperament make him a super genius of the star-picking sect that only appears once every 100 years. Oh, the inheritance of the Sword Lake ruins? According to the ancient records, the Sword Lake Palace is extremely powerful. Its Tao of Slaughter is also famous in the cultivation world. This kid must be extraordinary to be able to obtain such an inheritance. He's worth nurturing. Oh, not bad indeed. It seems like this kid must have some kind of bloodline inheritance. His future is limitless." The 2 supreme elders exclaimed in surprise. Meng Longong's face was filled with uncontrollable joy and excitement upon hearing this. "All right, let's move on to the next one. We should focus on finding the location of the 4th floor as soon as possible," an old man with a higher status among the 6 grand elders said. Wu Zichun hurriedly took out Chun Hao's and Tantai Lian's blood essence and birth characters and said, "These are Chun Hao's and Tantai Lian's. Both of them are new disciples, and only Chun Hao has gone out to train once. I think there should be no problem with their blood essence, and Tantai Lian's is even more so. Use Tantai Lian's. Let's not waste any more energy. This kid, Chun Hao, is not simple," Yuan Tairan said. When he mentioned Chun Hao, his face flickered with pride. Although it was not obvious, the crowd could feel that Chun Hao's position in his heart was obviously higher than Yuan Dao's. That was indeed the case. Even he still hadn't figured out Chun Hao's strange sword strike until now. Inhale, 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 inhale. Chun Hao sat cross-legged in front of Tantai Lian. He used his energy to control Tantai Lian to sit in front of him. At this moment, Chun Hao, who had always been straightforward and decisive in killing, felt as if his heart was about to jump out of his throat, and he felt as if he couldn't catch his breath. He was actually nervous. He was so nervous that he could not control his emotions. He took deep breaths again and again, but the more it was like this, the more nervous Chun Hao was. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come a Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 234. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. I'm a man. What's there to be nervous about? It's not like I haven't done it before. It's such a simple thing. Chun Hao rubbed his hands together and muttered to himself. Although he said it casually, his hands reached for Tantai Lian's shoulders, retracted, and rubbed again. He couldn't take the first step. Don't care about trifles. Don't care about trifles. This seems to be a little big. I've done it before, but that was me in the past. It was an exchange of interests without emotions. The current me, this, Chunhao stood up and paced back and forth. Seeing that time was running out, he became more and more anxious. Do it. What am I afraid of? Isn't it just responsibility? Isn't it just that I don't know how to face it? Since I can't be heartless, I have to be responsible. A real man is afraid of everything. What's the point of that? It's unavoidable. I can only face it head on. There's not much time left. When he thought up to this point, even though Chunhao's face was flushed red like a little boy who had stolen the forbidden fruit for the first time, his heartbeat and breathing were rapid, and his outstretched hands were trembling because he was too excited and nervous. But he still reached for Tantai Lien's shoulders unwaveringly. Finally, through the thin Taoist robe, he felt the smoothness of Tantai Lien's Taoist robe. His trembling hands were sweating profusely when he undid a button. He wanted to shrink back countless times, but he resisted in the end. There wasn't much time left. In the last 4 hours, if Tantai Lien lost her soul, that kind of injury would really be irreparable. The second, the third, perhaps because he had taken the first step, although Chunhao was getting more and more excited, his movements became more and more nimble. Soon, he took off Tantai Lien's Taoist robe. Only her chest and underwear were left. The faint body fragrance stimulated Chunhao's nose. Her fragrant shoulders, lower abdomen, and jade legs were completely exposed. Her skin was as white as snow. Although Chunhao had already seen her true appearance, it seemed even more difficult to resist the charm of hugging a pipa and covering half of her face. The primitive desire and impulse completely exploded at this moment. In the endless darkness, there was no consciousness, no thoughts. Everything was silent. Tantai Lien's soul floated in the most mysterious soul palace in her mind. His soul power was dissipating bit by bit. The heavily damaged Phoenix inheritance had also become 2 Phoenix imprints that floated in Tantai Lien's mind, which was as still as a dead sea and devoid of ripples. After an unknown period of time, Tantai Lien's mind was suddenly blown by gusts of wind, creating layers of ripples. It was also at this moment that Chunhao's soul began to violently tremble. This feeling had completely surpassed his imagination. Even though Tantai Lien was unconscious, even though there was no response, however, Tantai Lien was different from Chunhao in the past. She was a woman who only wanted to vent her desires and had no emotional foundation. When Chunhao kissed those soft lips that didn't react at all, and at the same time, slowly and truly came into contact with Tantai Lien's flawless, soft, and seemingly boneless body, a wonderful and unprecedented feeling began to grow in Chunhao's heart. His large hands held those soft and holy twin peaks and slid across the graceful and smooth body. There was the pride, and sense of accomplishment of a man's possessiveness. There was also the responsibility of a man. At the same time, there was an unprecedented pleasure in his body and mind. This feeling was indescribable. Chunhao only knew that he had done it. He had truly done it. He wasn't as confused, perturbed, or at a loss as he had imagined. Hiss. Although he really wanted to savor the taste of the forbidden fruit for the first time in his life, Chunhao knew that now wasn't the time. Firstly, Tantai Lien was completely unconscious. Secondly, there was less than 2 hours left. He had to awaken Tantai Lien's soul first. Therefore, he could only suppress the desire in his heart. After forming the heaven and earth yin-yang bridge between the 2 key parts, he controlled the energy in Tantai Lien's body and began to form a big cycle in their bodies. The primitive desire and the gentle throbbing accompanied the cycle of the body's energy. It went from rough to smooth. Chunhao was immersed in a wonderful feeling and state of mind. He gradually transcended himself. His mind and soul naturally came into contact with Tantai Lien's mind and clearly locked onto the most profound and mysterious soul palace. Ga. 2 weak cries sounded amidst the layers of ripples. The heavily injured Feng and Huang finally woke up, feeling the aura of yin and yang. Feng directly merged into the depths of Chunhao's soul. Then, Huang, under Feng's guidance, locked onto Tantai Lien's soul palace and merged into Tantai Lien's unconscious soul. The mysterious power of the phoenix's inheritance of yin and yang began to release a mysterious fluctuation. Boom! The aura of the nirvana flame began to condense on the two naked bodies. The faint flame with a hint of blue was filled with a mysterious and primitive aura. At this moment, Tantai Lien's unconscious soul finally stopped dissipating. However, it still floated in the soul palace and showed no signs of waking up. Time passed second by second. The feeling of spring became stronger and stronger. Although Chun Hao put all his attention on the fusion of the two's energy and the big cycle, the pleasure of the origin stone still became stronger and stronger. However, the appearance of the phoenix made Chun Hao understand that at this moment, he had to restrain that impulse. Only through the primitive throbbing and the calling of the soul, as well as the power of the phoenix and Huang's inheritance, could he complete the true fusion when Tantai Lien's soul woke up. Doing this would not only awaken Tantai Lien, but also allow the two to complete the true phoenix's inheritance. The fusion of yang and pure yin bloomed. The true balance of yin and yang. Boundless spring. How could this be? While Chun Hao was hesitating and struggling to make a choice, on star-picking peak, Yuan Tyran and the 6 Grand Elders were trying to capture Tantai Lien's aura again. Their faces were pale, and their energy was almost exhausted. They failed again. They thought that they would succeed this time. However, they still could not lock on a Tantai Lien's aura. Tantai Lien's bloodline did not change after she obtained the phoenix's inheritance. Even if there was a change, the essence blood we obtained was after she obtained the phoenix's inheritance. She has been in the star-picking sect all this time without any encounters. This shouldn't be. Is it because our cultivation is not enough? We can't really penetrate the space where the 7-star grotto heaven is? Yuan Tyran said with a frown after swallowing a true essence pill and regaining some color on his face. Impossible. Although the 7-star grotto heaven is powerful, it is inextricably linked to our star-picking sect. Since they obtained the opportunity to enter the 4th level, they should have been captured by us. Moreover, even without this connection, what level can the 7-star grotto heaven be? Grade 8 or Grade 9 ruins? That's obviously not possible. With the 7 of us working together, even if 3 of them are in Grade 9 ruins, we can still lock onto them. A Grand Elder said, "What do we do now? Yuan Dao might have a problem with his bloodline. However, Tantai Lien definitely has no problem, but we still can't lock onto her. Could it be that the 7-star grotto heaven is not what we think it is?" Yuan Tyran said, "What do you mean? The 7th level is just our guess. Everyone entering a separate space is only the first 3 levels. Ever since the appearance of the 7-star grotto heaven and its 1,000-year legacy, none of us have gone beyond the 3rd level." Yuan Tyran frowned deeply. As the sect master, he naturally had wisdom that surpassed ordinary people. Vaguely, he already had a bad feeling. After a slight pause, he continued, "If the 3 of them entered the same space, with Yuan Dao's temperament of cultivating the Dao of massacre," hearing Yuan Tyran's words, the 6 Grand Elders only frowned slightly. They had been in seclusion for a long time and did not know much about the newcomers in the sect, especially the outer sect disciples. However, the inner and outer sect elders, especially Meng Sigong and Wu Zichuan, had a slight change in expression. "Sect leader, do you mean that they will attack?" The inner sect elder frowned and said. After a slight pause, he continued, "It's very possible. Yuan Dao and Chun Hao are competitors. Tantai Lien and Chun Hao are Dao companions. Now that we can't lock on a Tantai Lien's aura, the biggest possibility is that she has died. This can't be done by Chun Hao. It can only be Yuan Dao. Yuan Dao's aura can't be locked on it either. Could it be that Chun Hao killed Yuan Dao again? Impossible." Meng Sigong immediately said, "Yuan Dao was originally half a step into the Golden Core realm. After entering the 7-star grotto heaven, he must have stepped into the golden core realm in an extremely short period of time. Once his massacre sword Dao entered the second realm, it would be 9 swords combined into one. In the same realm, even Chun Hao, who has decent combat strength, would not be a match for him. How could he be killed by Chun Hao? I don't know how strong Chun Hao is exactly. However, if his massacre sword Dao could reach the second realm, it would be difficult for him to find a match in the same realm. Unless Chun Hao has an even stronger inheritance than Yuan Dao. A Grand Supreme Elder said, "There's no point in saying more. There's no point in guessing. Let's begin to capture Chun Hao's aura later. If we can't capture it, we can only wait for them to come out. If we can capture it, then what the imparting elders said might be true. Let's make things clear first. No matter who lives or dies, admit it," Yuan Tyran said in a low voice. The massacre sword Dao was indeed terrifying, but Yuan Tyran agreed with the Grand Supreme Elder speculation. As long as they could sense Chun Hao's aura, they could be sure that Tantai Lien had died. As for Yuan Dao, there was an 80% chance that he had died. The remaining 20% chance of survival was due to the change in his bloodline. If that was the case, then he would definitely not be able to sense Chun Hao's aura. This was because Chun Hao might have died like Tantai Lien. However, this possibility was very small. This was because Yuan Tyran was confident in Chun Hao's sword. 4 hours later, Chun Hao's 8 horoscope and his blood essence floated among the 7 of them. It took less than an hour for a dazzling light to rise up from Chun Hao's blood essence. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 235. Condense. Lock. At this moment, Yuan Tyran and the various supreme elders suddenly shouted, each of their faces brimming with intense joy. Especially Yuan Tyran. They had succeeded. They had successfully locked onto Chun Hao's aura and confirmed the location of the 4th level. As long as the 7 stars Grotto Heaven opened next year, they would be able to open the 1st to 4th levels. What did this mean? It meant that the 7 stars Grotto Heaven of the Jiaxing sect would not only be a sacred cultivation ground for disciples below the Khanate realm, but also for Golden Core realm disciples. It was only a step forward, but the impact on the Jiaxing sect was extremely huge. After entering the Golden Core realm, even those who could be considered true cultivators would start to be restricted by the heavenly Tao. Their cultivation speed would be like rowing a boat against the current. It was extremely difficult, especially when breaking through to the next level. They would have to endure the heavenly punishment. How many cultivators had stopped at the Golden Core realm? And how many cultivators had died under the heavenly punishment? When the higher levels of the 7 stars Grotto Heaven opened, even if only 1 Golden Core realm cultivator could enter each year, it was already a big deal, let alone 10. This was a completely different concept from those below the Khanate realm. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Boom. A sharp, loud, frightened, angry, and desperate cry suddenly erupted amidst the raging nirvana flames and Chun Hao's charge. Boundless, vigorous, and terrifying energy was directly extracted from Chun Hao's body. At the same time, Chun Hao, who was a gentleman with no balls, flew high into the air like a kite with its string cut. He was pleasantly surprised that Tantai Lien had woken up, but he was also extremely depressed. He had not really vented it out yet. It was a critical moment, but Tantai Lien had woken up. Amidst Chun Hao's primal charge, the mysterious power of the Phoenix's inheritance, and the process of yin and yang blending, she had woken up. The moment she woke up, Tantai Lien only knew that her body was being possessed, pressed down, and at this moment, Tantai Lien felt like her head was about to explode. She did not hear the Phoenix's voice, nor did she feel Chun Hao's love. Her only thought was what Yuan Dao had tried to do to her before she fell unconscious. Therefore, she did not hesitate to leave the great circulation state of yin and yang and directly attacked. She attacked with despair, fear, and anger. Little bird, tell Huang and Little Yin that I'll die once too. I'll leave it to you. At the moment when Chun Hao was sent flying, he thought quickly and conveyed his order to Phoenix. The gun was already loaded, and the bullets were already on the barrel. How could they not fire? Besides, it had already come to this point. Even a god would not be able to hold himself back. Even the powerful existence in Chun Hao's mind and the probing sword spirit had not thought of such a situation. Of course, out of their human habits and their respect for Chun Hao, they did not observe. Otherwise, his eyeballs would definitely fall to the ground. In fact, although the two of them had already begun the fusion of yin and yang and had formed a great cycle of energy in their bodies, they had yet to complete the final step. In other words, Chun Hao still maintained his primordial yang body. What was broken was only his heart. On the other hand, Tantai Lien was the opposite. What was broken was only her body. The pure yin hidden in the depths of her heart was still intact. If there was a word to describe the situation between the two of them, it would be half-step fusion. Tantai Lien looked at the naked figure that was rolling away and was suddenly dumbfounded. She screamed again. It was only at this moment that Tantai Lien regained a bit of consciousness and heard Huang's voice. It's over, it's over. Chun Hao was harmed by you. Little Lien, he did it to save you. It's over, Huang. What's going on? Tantai Lien did not care that she was still naked and rushed to Chun Hao in a panic. Her beautiful little face was filled with horror as she asked in her mind, Sai, you are already dead. Chun Hao used the fusion of yin and yang to let his soul out of his body and enter your mind to wake you up. But now, it's over, it's over. Huang's childish voice was filled with anxiety. No matter what, she was a divine beast that had existed for countless years. Her acting skills were definitely top-notch. Tantai Lien did not need Chun Hao to teach her what to say and what to do. She could naturally make Tantai Lien do what she wanted. What should I do? What should I do? Tantai Lien did not have time to be ashamed and asked in horror, What are you hesitating for? His soul is still in your mind. You must immediately start dual cultivation with him. Only then can his soul return to his body. Any later, and his body will lose its vitality. Hurry! Tantai Lien's face was red. Why are you still embarrassed? You have already done what you should have done. If you had not been too agitated when you woke up and did not listen to us, you would have been fine by now. Hurry! What should I do? This. Huang was a little dumbfounded when she heard Tantai Lien's words. When they were doing it just now, it was obvious that Tantai Lien did not have the slightest consciousness. And now Chun Hao was acting like a dead pig. What should she do? After pondering for a moment, Huang said a little hesitantly, As long as you connect the upper and lower heaven and earth bridges and start the energy fusion, it will form a big cycle in both of your bodies, where the upper and lower heaven and earth bridges. Cough, cough. Mouth to mouth, two tongues against each other, is a bridge. Below, you should know, Huang said a little awkwardly for Tantai Lien. At the same time, she sent a voice transmission. Huang Feng, this is not good, right? Can't we let Chun Hao take the initiative? Xiaoyan is a girl after all. How? How shy will she be? To say that Chun Hao can't do it. If he doesn't come, it will be over. Cough, cough. This is what Chun Hao said. At least, she has to complete the first step. Otherwise, it won't make sense, so. Huang responded and directly urged in Tantai Lien's mind. Hurry, Xiaoyan. If you hesitate, it will be too late. Do you want to die? Tantai Lien's beautiful little face was like the sunset, completely red. Her heart was beating like a little deer. She felt as if she was in a dream, as if it was unreal. She looked at the naked and unconscious Chun Hao with incomparable shame. Suddenly, she thought of something and her face instantly turned pale. Huang, you said, I was already dead. Then did you and Dao? Tantai Lien asked in a trembling voice in her mind. What are you thinking about? Chun Hao came just in time. In the instant that you were unconscious, he killed Chun Hao. Don't worry, you only belong to Chun Hao. You completely belong to Chun Hao. Really? Tantai Lien asked in disbelief. It's absolutely true. If you hesitate any longer, Chun Hao will be finished. Hurry up and start. Okay, I'll start. I'll start. Tantile Yin's face was like the ever-changing weather, becoming completely red once again. But she firmly, quickly, and without any hesitation, leaned towards Chun Hao. A strand of sparkling tears, unknown whether it was happiness, sadness, or something else, escaped from her eyes. She stared at Chun Hao's handsome and extraordinary face, getting closer and closer. Her delicate lips lightly trembled, and she held her breath. She was extremely nervous as she pressed her lips onto Chun Hao's lips, mouth to mouth, two tongues against each other. Tantile Yin thought to herself bashfully in her heart, and closed her eyes. Chun Hao felt Tantile Yin's smooth and sweet tongue, and clumsily pushed open his lips, wanting to separate his teeth. Chun Hao originally wanted to continue, making things difficult for her, but this wonderful feeling made him unable to restrain himself. Ah, woo! Suddenly, Tantile Yin let out a cry of surprise, and was immediately blocked by Chun Hao. At the same time, Tantile Yin, who was originally occupying the upper position, was flipped down by a strong force, lingering without end, making love on a mountain of magi. Gaga! After an unknown period of time, the phoenix broke out of their bodies and circled above the two in battle. The nirvana flame burned fiercely and gradually condensed into a huge phoenix nirvana seal. At the same time, when Chun Hao let out a low, beastly roar, and Tantile Yin couldn't control herself and let out a sound that made her feel ashamed, two illusory figures appeared in the air and merged into the phoenix seal. The true fusion of yin and yang, the fusion of the soul and the body, it was finally completed. Boom, boom. Thunderous booms exploded from the depths of their souls. There was no restriction of the Tao companion contract, no barrier of the soul. There was only the true fusion of the soul and the body, lingering without end. Traces of mysterious aura naturally started to circulate around the two, and grew in the depths of their souls. 7 stars paradise, the 7 stars, at this moment, shone with incomparably bright light and enveloped the two. Dense heaven and earth energy was like a myriad of streams flowing into the sea, and at a speed 10 times faster than when the two were cultivating alone, it surged into their bodies. Within their dantian, the golden core that had just been formed not long ago became more and more solid, and more resplendent. The surging energy was like a great river, and in the great circulation system formed by the two, it surged without end and flowed without end, respectfully sending off the Grand Elders. On the star-picking peak, the Grand Elders that had completed their missions, one by one, turned into nothingness and disappeared before everyone's eyes as Yuan Tyran and the other elders cupped their fists and bowed. Li Long and the other disciples that have advanced to the Golden Core realm report to the inner sect. The other disciples can also disperse. Yuan Tyran looked at Li Long and the other disciples and said, "Understood." Once everyone left, Yuan Tyran looked at Meng Langong and Wu Zichuan and said, "Yuan Dao, Chun Hao, and Tantile Yin situation should be very close to what we predicted. Tantile Yin should have already died. We can't be sure about Yuan Dao, but what we can be sure of is that if Chun Hao and Yuan Dao come out at the same time, they will fight to the death, and no one will be able to mediate. The two of you cannot add fuel to the fire, and neither of you is allowed to attack in secret, or else you will be punished according to the sect rules." "Yes, sect master." "Elderly, according to the standards of a core disciple, choose a mountain and start preparing." "Yes." "Sect master, only choose one mountain? What if Yuan Dao also?" Elderly replied with a frown. Elderly was the inner sect elder in charge of the welfare of the star-picking sect. "Today, I've completed 2 chapters. Tomorrow, it will explode. I'm sure of the 3rd chapter, but I don't dare to say the 4th chapter, and it's also possible for the 5th. Writing requires passion and stimulation. I really need everyone's support. If I can't feel the passion of my brothers and sisters, it will be very difficult for me to get excited in Dark Mountain. Can you give me some stimulation, some passion?" To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come a Chidian. Come and vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 236. Prepare 1. If both of them come out, the winner will be the winner. Yuan Tyran didn't leave any room for negotiation. However, he knew that the probability of both of them coming out at the same time was very low. Even if they could come out at the same time, they would have to fight to the death. This was because Tantai Lien was definitely dead. How could Chen Hao possibly leave the matter at that? Even though he really wanted genius disciples like Yi Wendao and Chun Hao to exist at the same time. However, Tantai Lien's death made that possibility impossible. Even he couldn't stop such a thing. Whoosh! Huaxing City was the closest city to the star-picking sect. A black-clothed figure wearing a bamboo hat landed outside the city gate as fast as lightning. After paying the entrance fee of a level 8 spirit pill, he quickly entered the city. According to his identity, he only needed to show his token and he would be exempted from the entrance fee. But he didn't do that. This black-clothed figure wearing a bamboo hat went straight to the branch of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce located in the transforming Star City. Mission 7024. Please. After the black-clothed and bamboo hat man arrived at the mission submission area, he spoke in a fake voice. At the same time, he flashed his mission card and followed a messenger in. The target didn't come out of the 7 stars Grotto Heaven. According to the speculations of the sect master and elders, he should have opened the 4th level of the 7 stars Grotto Heaven and advanced to the Golden Core Realm. Oh, had the 4th level of the 7 stars Grotto Heaven opened? Are you sure? I'm sure. The 7 stars Grotto Heaven will be closed for 3 months. But now March had passed. 3 of them didn't come out. I obtained this information from the disciples who entered the 7 stars Grotto Heaven. Other than the target, who else is there? This isn't part of the mission, is it? Our Wantong Chamber of Commerce has always been fair. Any information will have a corresponding value with you. It's just that the news will spread sooner or later. If we spread it earlier, we'll be able to exchange it for enough rewards. What do you think? The black-clothed man fell silent for a moment before he said, besides the target, there's also his Dao companion, Tantai Lien, and Yi Wendao. However, Tantai Lien should have been killed by Yi Wendao. There was a high chance that Yi Wendao would die at the hands of the target. This was the conclusion that the sect master and Grand Supreme Elder came to after capturing the 3 people's auras. As for when he would be able to come out of the 7 stars Grotto Heaven, he could not be sure for now. The sect master and the others don't know much about the situation on the 4th floor either. We can only wait. Phew! Impressive, the old man exhaled and said. Although the man in black didn't explain, the old man was able to understand the whole story from his words. Inwardly, he was quite surprised by his target's rapid growth and combat strength. This was not much inferior to some of the genius disciples of the high-ranking sections. Before the target comes out, I won't report to you. All right, this is the reward for this trip. The black bamboo hat man took the unexpected revenge with satisfaction and quickly disappeared from the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. After walking out of the Huaxing City, he flew for thousands of miles towards the desolate mountain range. After making sure that no one was following him, he put on the star-picking robe of the Picking Star sect's disciple and took off his bamboo hat. This person was none other than an outer disciple of the Starsizer sect, Kai Jin, and the mission he accepted was to report Chun Hao's every move at all times. As for who had paid such a high price to post a mission in the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce, he could guess that it was Fan Fong of the 6th grade sect, the Sword sect. Die. Boom. A demonic beast at the peak of the late-stage golden elixir realm, whose body was like a small mountain, was crushed into meat paste by a true essence giant hand. After killing the demon beast, the youth quickly took out a black token that emitted fluctuations. Is he out? The youth's face flashed with intense, killing intent as his consciousness entered the token. What? The 4th level of the 7-star Grotto Heaven? The Golden Core Realm? A trace of shock flashed in the youth's cold eyes. That's better. Now that you've entered the Golden Core Realm, I'd like to see if you'll still hide in the Picking Stars sect. I missed my chance once, but I won't let you escape this time. This youth was none other than Fan Fong. At this moment, he was cultivating deep in the mountains that were relatively close to the Picking Stars sect, so that he could arrive in time after receiving the news. It's been 4 months. The night sky was clear and silent. Sitting cross-legged, Tantai Lien slowly opened her eyes and murmured as a powerful aura emanated from her body. I've already reached the peak of the mid-stage golden core realm. I wonder how he's doing? Tantai Lien looked into the distance and bit her lip. Although she felt embarrassed, she still flew quickly in the direction of Chun Hao. In these 4 months, Chun Hao had not come to see her even once. It was fine when he was immersed in cultivation, but when he woke up, Tantai Lien felt wronged and even uneasy. After experiencing the true fusion of yin and yang, she was already his Tao partner. Was she not attractive to him at all? Under the starlight, energy surged. Chun Hao's clothes fluttered and his figure drifted. Sometimes it was like moving clouds and flowing water. Sometimes it was erratic. He did not have a sword in his hand, but when he pointed a finger, sword chi surged. His body and mind seemed to be completely immersed in cultivation. Tantai Lien silently appeared a few hundred feet away from Chun Hao, not daring to come any closer. She stared blankly at Chun Hao, the aura of a peak early-stage golden core realm cultivator. But the power he displayed made Tantai Lien's heart palpitate. Not to mention that she could not lock onto his figure. She could feel a dangerous aura from any of Chun Hao's fingers. Gradually, Tantai Lien, who was observing carefully, suddenly realized that Chun Hao's figure had slowed down. At this moment, she suddenly realized that Chun Hao's figure was not completely untraceable. Instead, he was stepping on 7 points in a very regular pattern. 7 points? Tantai Lien suddenly looked up at the void and at the 7 stars. Surprisingly, Chun Hao's trajectory was exactly the same as the structure of the 7 stars. You came just in time. Little Lien, come here. Just as Tantai Lien was in a daze, Chun Hao waved his hand and sent out a beam of energy. It instantly swept out a few hundred feet and enveloped Tantai Lien. Hiss! Tantai Lien did not know what was going on, but she followed Chun Hao's energy and came to his side at lightning speed. Lend me your energy. Use all your strength. Chun Hao did not explain and directly held Tantai Lien's soft hand. Their fingers interlocked and their palms faced each other. Boom! With the fusion of yin and yang, Chun Hao was very clear about Tantai Lien's energy. With a thought, with Tantai Lien's active cooperation, her energy immediately surged into Chun Hao's body. Whoosh! At this moment, Chun Hao's speed suddenly increased countless times. He turned into a series of afterimages and stepped on the positions of the 7 stars. The aura around him became stronger and stronger as his speed soared. 7-star sword finger. Chun Hao poked the sky with his finger. Hiss! The sharp wind seemed to have pierced through the shackles of space and the endless darkness. With a speed that could pierce through heaven and earth, it rushed towards the stars hanging high in the void. At this moment, Tantai Lien felt that her energy had been sucked dry by Chun Hao. She was so weak that she felt dizzy. However, her eyes were filled with extreme shock. She looked at the finger that was about to pierce through the heavens and exuded an extremely sharp and mysterious aura. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook. Within a radius of 1,000 feet, endless energy crazily gathered towards the sword finger that Chun Hao had sent out. It borrowed the power of heaven and earth to perform thousands of supernatural powers. The sword finger that seemed to be tearing through the void did not weaken at all as it rushed towards the stars. Instead, it emitted more and more resplendent and condensed light. Moreover, it was expanding at an astonishing speed. From a small finger to a huge finger that was as big as a mountain, it was still growing crazily. Break for me. After several tens of seconds had passed, Chun Hao let out a cold shout. He withdrew and released, causing the terrifying sword fingers to explode from an unknown distance away. Rumble. It was like divine lightning from the 9 heavens had exploded in the pitch-black night sky. At the same time, the 7 stars that were so far away that they couldn't reach suddenly emitted an incomparably bright light. Immediately, it condensed into a pillar of light that was like the Milky Way of the 9 heavens. It poured down and covered Chun Hao and Tantai Lien. Chun Hao, who was paler and weaker than Tantai Lien, smiled with excitement. He held Tantai Lien's slender waist tightly with one hand. Tantai Lien felt that the space was distorted. When she regained her vision, she and Chun Hao had already appeared in a huge palace. What is this place? At this moment, Tantai Lien looked at Chun Hao, who was holding her waist, and asked in shock. 7 Stars Palace. Fortunately, you came in time, otherwise it would have been ruined. For months of time, can you really endure it? Chun Hao smiled faintly with a trace of evil charm as he stared at Tantai Lien and spoke as if he was implying something. Even you can hold it in, why can't I? Tantai Lien opened her mouth and said. However, as soon as she finished speaking, her face suddenly turned red. She said, "What are you talking about, Rogue? Okay, there is not much time. There is only one day. We have to search quickly." Chun Hao did not continue this topic. He, who had tasted the forbidden fruit for the first time, had already taken the first step. Of course, he would not refuse the speed of cultivation brought by dual cultivation. However, in these 4 months, he had no time to spare. After completing the first fusion with Tantai Lien, the two of them comprehended and cultivated separately. However, he was naturally in a magical formation under the starlight. He also obtained the information in it. The 7 stars alignment formation. Only by comprehending the first level of the 7-star sword finger could he leave the formation. If he could use the 7-star sword finger to break the formation, he would be able to connect the 7 stars, break the shackles of the 7 stars, and step into the core treasury of the 7 stars cave heaven. The 7 stars alignment formation was more complicated than Chun Hao had imagined. Chun Hao tried to break it by breaking the formation, but he could not do it at all. In the past 4 months, when Tantai Lien arrived, he had only just comprehended the 7-star sword finger and was able to walk out of the formation. When he was about to find Tantai Lien could not hold it in and came to find him. Is this the inheritance of the 7 stars cave heaven? Tantai Lien asked. It is the treasury. The 7 stars cave heaven has a subtle connection with the thousands of mountains of the Jiaxing sect. It is just a forbidden place for cultivation, not an inheritance site. I think it was condensed by an ancient, powerful person. There should be a lot of good things in this palace. Chun Hao was explaining when suddenly a mysterious aura exploded in the palace without warning and shrouded the two of them. First update. Monthly ticket, recommendation ticket, subscription. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 237. At the same time, 2 mysterious messages appeared in the minds of Chun Hao and Tantai Lien at the same time. 2 bright starlights separated them and shrouded them. A test? What a magical light! Chun Hao was surprised. Before he could think further, the scene in front of him changed. What rich and pure energy. No, its true essence, pure true essence. In 2 separate spaces, Chun Hao and Tantai Lien were shocked. Originally, the energy in the 7 stars grotto heaven was already incredibly dense and pure. But now, under the bright starlight, the two of them who couldn't even see clearly felt that the entire space was filled with quintessential essence that could be absorbed without spending much effort to refine it. However, Chun Hao and Tantai Lien did not start cultivating. The information they received was that they had entered the test of the 7 stars cave. There shouldn't be any danger. Since it's a test, I'll determine what I can get based on the results. It's the same for Xiaolian. Chun Hao thought to himself. His eyes were shining, but he could not see an inch in front of him. He could only see the bright starlight. W formation? It's not difficult for me. It's really similar to the Taoist 7 stars sword formation. Chun Hao thought to himself. Before entering the 7 stars cave heaven, Chun Hao had encountered the Seven Stars alignment formation. He was sure that the Seven Stars cave heaven was similar to the Taoist Seven Stars sword formation recorded in the Taoist Secret Essentials. If not, Chun Hao would not have been able to comprehend the seven-star sword finger in just 4 months. He would not have had the chance to come here. Taking a deep breath, Chun Hao sat cross-legged and immersed himself in comprehension. After an entire 2 hours, Chun Hao's eyes flickered with a bright light as he pointed out with his finger. Hiss! A strange wave came. The vigorous and sharp sword finger merged into a round crystal that Chun Hao could not see but could sense. At the same time, the air that was completely composed of true essence began to shake violently. The bright starlight in the entire space suddenly dimmed, as if it had gathered together. As Chun Hao recovered his vision, a figure composed entirely of starlight appeared in front of him. This figure held a sword in his hand. His figure was tall and straight, and his entire body was golden like the color of the stars. His eyes were shining with incomparably sharp sword intent. He didn't give Chun Hao any time to think, and slashed his sword at Chun Hao. Late-stage golden core realm strength? Chun Hao's sharp soul perception spread out. He wasn't alarmed, but rather delighted. After stepping into the golden core realm, he was no different from before the congenital realm. His monstrous and abnormal physique caused his advancement to still be many times more difficult than others. In the past 4 months, although he had been immersed in the seven-star alignment and comprehended the seven-star finger sword, it was also cultivation. Moreover, he had been constantly refining his golden core. However, he had barely reached the peak of the early-stage golden core realm. Compared to Tantai Lien, who had reached the peak of the middle-stage golden core realm, there was a huge gap. However, the reason why he was pleasantly surprised was that Chun Hao had learned from the information that the energy figure that appeared at this moment was completely based on his combat strength. This meant that he had the combat strength of a late-stage golden core realm expert. Breaking the W star of the seven stars, which was also the W formation, was not difficult for Chun Hao. He had done it in 2 hours. However, to truly break it, he had to defeat the figure in front of him. This was a trial and a test. He had to kill this figure in order to enter the next level. Clang! The 5 elements sword suddenly came out of its sheath. Chun Hao brazenly faced the terrifying sword light. A quarter of an hour later, Chun Hao's solitary sword incantation cut off the head of the star-colored energy man with no special moves. The W formation was broken. Starlight appeared again. The surrounding space fluctuated, and the pattern had obviously changed. Chun Hao knew that the second formation, the Tianxian formation, had been activated. Tantai Lien, who was in another independent space, was not as relaxed as Chun Hao. When Chun Hao entered the Tianxian formation, she was still sitting cross-legged in the W formation, sending out streams of stored energy to sense the mystery of the W formation. Unfortunately, in such a short time, she could not make any progress at all. Similarly, in less than 2 hours, Chun Hao once again comprehended the mystery of the Merak formation. But this time, there were 2 golden energy men in the same realm, both at the late stage of the gold elixir realm. But the attacks launched by the 2 complemented each other, containing the mystery of the W formation and the Merak formation respectively. Moreover, the attacks launched by the 2 were a combination attack, which multiplied their combat capability several times. Within 3 moves, Chun Hao was seriously injured, and the 2 golden energy figures disappeared directly. Chun Hao returned to the Tianxian formation again. Obviously, he had failed the test this time. This is only the second formation, and it's already so powerful. It seems that it will take me a long time to break through the 7th formation. Chun Hao thought to himself in shock. This failure was not a real failure. There was no real failure in this test. It would only be considered a real failure if one died of old age here. Even if the next time the 7 stars grotto heaven opened, one would not be ejected before passing through the 7th formation. This was the information he had obtained after entering the 7 stars hall. If he had known this, Chun Hao would not have foolishly carried Tantai Lien in. He wasn't worried about himself because he was confident that he would succeed. He had the Taoist 7 stars formation as a reference. Moreover, he was extremely intelligent and definitely not someone Tantai Yin could compare to. Chun Hao was quite confident about this. It was also because of this that he could successfully comprehend the mysteries of the formation. The time he saved was not small. But what about Tantai Yin? However, it was useless to worry now. Such a mysterious and magical space was not something that Chun Hao could forcefully break through. If Tantai Lien wanted to walk out, she could only rely on herself. This was an opportunity for her and also a challenge. After taking a deep breath, Chun Hao was not in a hurry to activate the life gate of the formation again, to activate the golden energy figures. Instead, he immersed himself in cultivation and comprehension. The 3 moves that the 2 golden energy figures had made just now were clearly replaying in slow motion in Chun Hao's mind. For hours later, he challenged again. 6 moves, Chun Hao was defeated. 8 hours later, 12 moves, Chun Hao was defeated. 3 days later, 100 moves, Chun Hao was defeated. As the number of moves increased, Chun Hao found the feeling of fighting to his heart's content. Moreover, he was defeated with serious injuries every time, and it was not fatal. Obviously, this was the bottom line of the test. It would not take one's life. There was no doubt that this was the best cultivation environment for Chun Hao. The only drawback was that there was a lack of variation. This was because the 2 golden men's attacks always started at the same time. Even the order of their moves was not messed up. However, Chun Hao had to fall into their rhythm every time. 5 days later, the 2 golden energy figures tumbled to the ground under Chun Hao's sharp sword light. Chun Hao finally passed the Merak formation and stepped into the 3rd Tianji formation. There were 3 golden energy figures, and each of them was still at the late-stage golden core realm. However, the integration of the 3 Tianji formation made the combined attack of the 3 golden energy figures even more terrifying and perfect. For the first time, Chun Hao was defeated with just 1 move. Chun Hao's arrogant and persistent character had completely fused into this sort of extremely challenging tempering of battle. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Jiaxing Peak, where the 7-star grotto heaven runes appeared. During this month, there was always an inner sect elder standing guard. Today, the Jiaxing sect master, Yuan Tairan, and all the inner and outer sect elders gathered again. Only Wu Zichuan was not present. This was because the biennial 100 Empire ranking was already in the preparation stage. This time, the Jiaxing sect had tasted the sweetness of the 100 Empire ranking and brought luck. Naturally, the Jiaxing sect would take action again. He had already brought several inner sect disciples and rushed to the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce to discuss. If the 4th level appeared as they had speculated, then Chun Hao would come out in a month's time. However, Yuan Tairan and the others waited for an entire day, but there was no movement. However, they were not disappointed. Instead, they were looking forward to it. The longer they waited, the greater the benefits. This was obvious. Who would not be happy? The only one who was ambiguous was Meng Lang'an. This was because he knew that Yi Wendao's chances of survival were not high. The 2nd month, the 3rd month, the 4th month. How could this be? On Jiaxing Peak, Yuan Tairan and the 6 Grand Elders frowned and gave up on sensing. No one had expected such an outcome. In the 2nd month, they were still able to maintain their composure and were pleasantly surprised. In the 3rd month, they were still able to maintain their composure, but began to worry. In the 4th month, when the 7-star grotto heaven was about to open again in a month's time, Yuan Tairan and the others could no longer remain calm. This was because the 7-star grotto heaven would open again in a month's time. What did this mean? According to the rules of all historical legacies and special spaces, opening again meant a new cycle. If the person who entered last time did not come out, there was only one possibility: death. Left with no choice, Yuan Tairan and the other elders could only invite the 6 Grand Elders to come out and sense Chun Hao's aura once again. However, what shocked everyone was that they could not sense Chun Hao's aura this time. A month later, the 7-star grotto heaven opened again. Although they could no longer sense Chun Hao's aura on the fourth level, they had successfully locked onto him last time, allowing the fourth level of the seven-star grotto heaven to open. The 30 disciples below the Khanate realm were still determined according to the previous arena battles. Yang Fan, Li Yifeng, and Ni Jianping were among the low-level disciples. However, the three of them did not look excited. Instead, they were frowning. The news had spread that Chun Hao and Tantai Lien might have died in the seven-star grotto heaven. The disciples who were selected to enter the fourth level were all at the peak of the late-stage Golden Core realm, but they were not the top 10 intersect disciples. Instead, they were the young disciples who had the absolute advantage in terms of talent, comprehension, and combat strength. They were also the super geniuses who had the highest chance of successfully advancing to the nascent soul realm and becoming a core disciple. After the first 3 levels of disciples entered the seven-star grotto heaven, the fourth level opened. 10 disciples stepped into the rune with solemn expressions. Remember, no one is allowed to kill each other. Come out alive. If one of you dies, even if you come out, you will all be killed without mercy. Remember, all of you. P.S. I'm scratching my head. I'm stuck. I've been holding back since last night and have only published 2 chapters before 12 o'clock. I'll definitely finish 3 chapters. Fortunately, I didn't make a promise yesterday. Otherwise, I would have broken my promise. I didn't dare to make a promise because I'm afraid of encountering a situation where I'm stuck. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 238. Yuan Tyran had no choice but to set this rule. The deaths of Chun Hao, Tantai Lien, and Yuan Dao made his heart bleed. The only thing worth celebrating was that the fourth level was finally opened. However, they knew nothing about the so-called fourth level. They could only wait for the new disciples to come out before they could know the details. Did they all die because of killing each other, or was there something else going on in the fourth level? Kai Jin's mission from the Myriad Channels Chamber of Commerce came to an end. He did not receive the highest reward, but Kai Jin was very excited. Chun Hao's death made him excited. Without Chun Hao, he could have entered the seven-star grotto heaven last year. However, Chun Hao made him fail at the last step. He could not even recover the loss of suppressing his cultivation base for half a year. After confirming that Chun Hao had died in the seven-star grotto heaven, how could he not be happy? As for Fan Fong, who had painstakingly cultivated in the mountains not far from the star-picking sect, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The 2 people he hated the most had died in the seven-star grotto heaven. What could he do? What a dense heaven and earth spirit chi. It's not true essence. True essence. 7-star? It's actually 7 stars. What's going on? 7 months. There's actually 7 months. That's great. After the 10 intersect disciples stepped into the seven-star grotto heaven, they were immediately filled with shock and joy. No one expected the seven-star grotto heaven to be so powerful. They also did not expect that it was not the so-called 1 star, but 7 stars. They also did not expect that the information they received in an instant was that they could stay in there for a full 7 months. This was a full 4 months longer than the first level to the 3rd level. Chenjun, is that you? It's me, Zhao Chun. Yes, it's true. It seems that the 10 of us are really in the same space. No wonder Chun Hao, Yuan Dao, and Tantai Lien died here. They must have killed each other. Phew. Fortunately, the sect leader set the rules. Otherwise, I'll be in danger. Chenjun said. Among the 10 people who came in this time, Emo Xiaozong, who was the strongest, was his enemy. In the past, their strength was on par, but this time, Emo Xiaozong, who returned from the 7 stars cave heaven, had obtained some kind of opportunity and advanced to the late-stage gold core realm. He was definitely not someone he could compete with. There was no doubt that if it weren't for Yuan Tyran's rule, he would have died here. Hurry up and cultivate. In 7 months, with such pure quintessential essence, it is possible for you to step into the late golden core stage. At best, he could only raise his cultivation to the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Even if he couldn't win in a fight, he wouldn't have to be afraid of him outside. He won't dare to kill you here, or we'll all die. The sect master has always been a man of his word. He would never just threaten you. Yes, we put some distance between us. Let's begin. 3 months later, 30 outer sect disciples were ejected from the 7 stars Grotto Heaven one after another. With their improvements, Yuan Tyran and company finally revealed a smile. Their gains were even greater than Chun Hao's batch of disciples last year. Although the new geniuses were still inferior to Chun Hao and Yuan Dao, they were beginning to stand out, which comforted everyone. Although the cultivation of these disciples was like an ant in front of them, they symbolized the future of the sect and had to be taken seriously. However, none of the 10 inner sect disciples who entered the 4th level came out. It had to be said that the unknown was terrifying. Now, everyone was most worried that the 10 inner sect disciples would end up like Chun Hao and the other 2. Then, the 4th level would no longer be a holy land for cultivation, but a land of death. They didn't come out for the 4th month, and still didn't come out for the 5th month. At this time, Yuan Tyran and company could no longer sit still. Once again, they asked the Grand Elder to check on the 10 inner sect disciples. To everyone's relief, the auras of the 10 inner sect disciples could be captured and easily locked onto. As for when they would come out, it was impossible for everyone to wait here. 1 year and 6.5 months. Excluding the 3 months spent on the 3rd level and the 4 months spent in the 7 stars alignment, Chun Hao had stayed in the 7 stars hall for a total of 11 months and 15 days. Chun Hao had passed the Dubhi, Merak, Fekta, Migres, Alioth, and Mizar arrays. Only the last array, the Alcade array, was left. He had stayed in the Alcade array for a total of 6 months. He had already comprehended the array, but the difficulty was the 7 golden men at the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Chun Hao had already stepped into the mid-stage golden core realm, and the golden men had also advanced along with him to the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Moreover, all the golden men's realms had advanced. In addition, the 7 golden men had completely formed the 7 stars array. Chun Hao couldn't find any flaws at all, and the attacks were endless. Chun Hao had lost count of how many times he had failed. Phew! Chun Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, allowed a long sigh and slowly opened his eyes. The 2 sharp sword lights seemed to be substantial, and what was more shocking was that the essence chi emitted from the top of his head contained a sword essence that could pierce the sky. Swordsman. There is no doubt that the sword essence emitted by the swordsman was many times more powerful than that of Moue. I actually comprehended sword essence. I should be able to succeed, right? Chun Hao said, lightly with a hint of surprise. After being trapped here for nearly a year, even Chun Hao didn't expect that the Alcade array would be so powerful after turning into the 7 golden men. The first 6 arrays had only taken him 5.5 months, but the last array had taken him half a year. Until now, he hadn't defeated the 7 golden men. Sword essence, swordsman, I don't pursue it. Strictly speaking, the sword Dao isn't even my main cultivation, but I can comprehend it. It seems that it should be the credit of the solitary sword technique. My attack power should be increased by at least 40%, right? Sensing that the energy in his body had become more condensed under the stimulation of sword essence, and that each strand of vital essence contained an invincible will, Chun Hao thought to himself, and his confidence became stronger and stronger. The 7 golden men, the peak of the late-stage gold elixir realm, was their limit, and above that was the nascent soul realm. Although Chun Hao was abnormal, he didn't have the ability to defeat a nascent soul realm master. Chun Hao had now stepped into the middle-stage gold elixir realm, and killing any golden man was no problem. However, when the 7 golden men joined forces, it was a 7 stars array with almost no flaws, and the energy was the same. The power it exerted was definitely not as simple as 7 late-stage gold elixir realm masters. Otherwise, Chun Hao would have been able to defeat them long ago. Chun Hao slowly stood up, his figure as straight as a sword. With a clang, he directly unsheathed his sword, and a sword light immediately merged into the crystal ball of the Alcade array. Swoosh! 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 7 golden men with terrifying auras suddenly appeared in front of Chun Hao, and with a swoosh, they surrounded Chun Hao. Solitary sword art. Without any hesitation, Chun Hao swung his sword and stabbed out. Streaks of incomparably sharp light spread out, and the entire space was shrouded under sword essence. The sword light was like lightning, and the sword was merciless. Chun Hao's expression was as solemn as a mountain and calm as an ancient well, as if he didn't reveal any emotions. There was only a ruthless sharpness, and it also contained a murderous aura that only Yi Wendao had, as if he wanted to kill everything in front of him. Swoosh! Swoosh! In an instant, streaks of sword light that seemed to tear through space attacked one of the 7 golden men at the same time. It was unbelievably fast, and what was even more terrifying was that all the attacks were on one point, and there was no spectacular momentum, but for the first time in 6 months, Chun Hao broke through the powerful defense of the 7 golden men, which had instantly condensed their energy into one. Bang! The forehead of one of the golden men was directly penetrated, and with a swoosh, it dissipated into nothingness like golden powder. The remaining 6 golden men were instantly defeated. Under Chun Hao's sharp sword light, it was like cutting melons and vegetables, and it only took 1 minute for the battle to end. With one less, the combat strength of the 6 golden men was no threat at all. This was the biggest weakness of the combined formation attack, and not a single one could be missing. Chun Hao could easily kill the 6 golden men half a year ago. It's finally broken. No wonder real swordsmen are so popular. I've only just comprehended sword essence, and it's already so powerful, Chun Hao said with a trace of excitement. The terror of sword essence was beyond his imagination. Hiss! The space was distorted, and the all-cave formation finally collapsed. A huge circular room appeared in front of Chun Hao. It was 1,000 feet in diameter, and the circular floor was divided into 7 pieces. Each piece was different in color, and they were covered with runes that could operate independently and connect as a whole. It was the 7-layer formation that Chun Hao broke through. In the center of the circle stood a cylindrical platform, and on the platform were 4 jade slips that exuded an ancient aura. Secret manuals of absolute arts? Chun Hao's heart skipped a beat, and he was slightly disappointed. What he yearned for the most was not secret manuals of absolute arts, but precious things like elixirs and miraculous medicines. But he had no choice. Obviously, this was his reward. 7 stars sword technique, 7 stars finger sword, 7 stars footwork, 7 stars sutra. It's actually a combination of absolute arts? Thank goodness. After Chun Hao saw the immortal names on the 4 jade slips, a trace of relief appeared on his face, and he directly put them into the storage space. At this moment, a beam of light appeared out of thin air and covered Chun Hao. I'm afraid Xiao Lian still needs a long time. The moment his figure disappeared, Chun Hao thought to himself. He had a subtle thought. However, he immediately cut it off. This was definitely a good thing for Tantai Lian. It was such a sacred cultivation ground, and there were golden men to fight. When Tantai Lian came out, she would definitely have an astonishing improvement. Chun Hao knew that it was not necessarily a good thing for him to come out so quickly. If he cultivated slowly, he would definitely be able to steadily improve. At least, it would be better than cultivating in the star-picking sect. Even if he went out to train, it would be better to stay there if he did not have great opportunities and luck. However, Chun Hao did not deliberately care about this. If he could do it, he would do it. Let nature take its course. An inner sect elder guarding the rune of the star-picking peaks 7 stars grotto heaven suddenly sensed a mysterious aura fluctuation and immediately opened his eyes. A bright light rose. Ever since the outer sect disciples returned, they had been waiting for 3.5 months. She's finally coming out. The inner sect elder's face flashed with excitement. With a thought, he immediately sent out a message. As soon as he sent out the message, the elder's expression changed drastically, and his eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Third update today. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 239. Disciple Chun Hao pays his respects to fourth elder. This elder was Elder Li, who was in charge of the welfare of the star-picking sect. He was Li Hong, ranked fourth among the inner sect elders. Chun Hao saw the fourth elder's shocked expression and did not find it strange. He smiled and cupped his fists in greeting. This? Chun Hao. Are you really Chun Hao? Li Hong's expression carried a trace of excitement, but he still asked in disbelief. Yes. Chun Hao? Oh, how is this possible? Is this real? At this moment, Yuan Tairan and the others, who had received Li Hong's message, rushed over as fast as lightning when the mysterious rune emitted its aura. When they saw Chun Hao, they were extremely shocked. Good. Chun Hao, quickly tell us what's going on in the fourth level. Why did you take so long to come out? Tell us the details. Even Yuan Tairan could not control his excitement and asked impatiently. Yes, Chun Hao replied and calmly explained the situation after entering the seven-star space. He did not omit anything, including the seven-star Pearl Array and the Seven Stars Palace. Seven Stars Palace, quintessential essence space. No wonder we cannot lock onto your aura. So that's why. Chun Hao, are Tantai Lien and Yuan Dao? Yuan Tairan asked. Little Lien is still in the Seven Stars Palace. It will probably take some time for her to come out. Chun Hao said. What? Are you sure? Yuan Tairan asked in shock. The others were also shocked. Yes. She will probably take some time, Chun Hao said calmly. Chun Hao could sense something strange from everyone's gazes, especially Meng Langong. Coupled with Yuan Tairan's words about locking onto their auras, Chun Hao already knew what was going on. Strange, why couldn't I sense Tantai Lien and Yuan Dao's auras? Did you see Yuan Dao? Yuan Tairan asked. Since Tantai Lien was still alive, it meant that their speculations were completely wrong. Yes, Chun Hao said. Where is he? Are you still in the Seven Stars Palace? Meng Dagong asked anxiously. Chun Hao shook his head and exuded a fierce aura. He said, I killed him. The sect leader was unable to lock onto Xiaolian's aura because Xiaolian had almost died in Yuan Dao's hands. To be more precise, she had already died in Yuan Dao's hands. Fortunately, Xiaolian has the inheritance of the Phoenix, so she was able to escape. If this matter is over, Yuan Tairan interrupted Meng Langong and looked at Chun Hao. Chun Hao, your mountain peak has already been prepared for you. You can enjoy the treatment of a core disciple. You should have comprehended quite a bit in the past year. Go back and cultivate in seclusion. Thank you, Sovereign. Unbelievable. Senior brother Chun Hao came back alive. Yeah, and he's even reached the mid-stage of the Golden Core realm. Tantai Lien isn't dead either. She's still in the Seven Stars Palace. The information released by the sect didn't mention Yuan Dao. I'm afraid the rumors are the same. He must have died in the hands of senior brother Chun Hao. Damn it, Jijun. I'm afraid we're in trouble. What's there to be afraid of? Isn't it just stealing Li Yifeng's woman? We'll restrain ourselves in the future. It's not a big deal. Chun Hao won't do anything to us because of this. Besides, it's time for us to find a backer. You and I are ranked first and second among the low-ranked disciples. As long as we can enter the top 10 among the mid-ranked disciples, it won't be a problem for us to join senior brother Long Yukong's faction. That's true. Senior brother Long Yukong is ranked first among the core disciples. As long as we're qualified to join his faction, it won't be a problem. There are still 5 months left. Let's go out and train. We'll come back on the last day of the Seven Stars Palace. For hours later, all the outer, inner, and core disciples of the star-picking sect were in an uproar. This was because news of Chun Hao's return from the Seven Stars Palace had been released through the sect's token. Chun Hao's Peak, which was named after Chun Hao, was also officially opened. The nearby hills had become Chun Hao's Peak. Without Chun Hao's permission, no one was allowed to cultivate there. The disciples who were training outside also received news of Chun Hao's return through the token. Yi Fei Xue and the rest were naturally surprised. When Elder Wu and Dongfang Ting received the news, they were obviously even more excited. However, when they received a personal message from the sovereign that Chun Hao was coming to the 100 Empire ranking, both of them frowned. As for Li Long, who was training outside, after receiving the news, he didn't say a word and used his fastest speed to go to the Wan Tong Merchant Association. After Chun Hao returned to his own peak, he went to find Yang Fan, Li Yifeng, and Ni Jianping before the sect sent out the news. The three of them were naturally excited to see that Chun Hao had returned alive. Chun Hao, who enjoyed the treatment of a core disciple, allowed the three of them to stay in his peak. Core disciples had the right to cultivate their own forces. The peak that was specially prepared for Chun Hao had already attracted the jealousy of many core disciples. Regardless of the location of the peak, the palace built, or of the condensed array, it was ranked at the top among the core disciples. The four of them drank and chatted until late at night. When Yang Fan and the other two returned to their new palace, Chun Hao turned into a stream of light and flew silently to the star-picking peak. Just as he reached the entrance of the star-picking peak, an invisible energy welcomed Chun Hao in. Yuan Tyran had been waiting for a long time. He stared at Chun Hao and asked with a smile, "Have a seat. What's the matter that you want to talk to me alone?" Today, before Chun Hao left, he sent a voice transmission to say that he would visit him at night. "Sect Master, I want to go take a look at the 100 Empire rankings." Chun Hao sat down and said in a low voice, "100 Empire rankings? What for?" "My friends should have made it into the 100 Empire rankings. I want to pull them to the star-picking sect." Chun Hao said. It had been a year and 10 months since he stepped into the star-picking sect. The biennial 100 Empire rankings was about to reach the final 100 Empire rankings battle. Of course, Chun Hao would remember. In fact, this was one of the main reasons why he broke through so many levels in the 7 Stars Hall. "Oh, that's a simple matter. You just need to tell me your name, and I'll send a message to Elder Wu. As long as they don't mind our star-picking sect's low grade, there won't be a problem. I want to go personally and train at the same time." Chun Hao said. Upon hearing Chun Hao's words, Yuan Tyran frowned slightly and said, "You're only at the mid-stage Golden Core realm now. If Fan Fong finds out about your training, it'll be very dangerous. He's already a half-step nascent soul realm cultivator and can trigger the heavenly Dao law at any time to ascend to the nascent soul realm. I can't hide in the sect forever just because of him. Moreover, I need to train. The Eastern continent is vast and boundless. It won't be easy for him to find me. I'll sneak out and announce that I'm in seclusion. As long as he's not at the nascent soul realm, he won't be able to do anything to me." Chun Hao said confidently and resolutely. "You mean to go take a look at the 100 Empire rankings and start training right away?" "Yes. If that's the case, then you can go. This year's 100 Empire rankings battle is organized by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. It's 3 million miles away from the star-picking sect. If you want to go, use the Chamber of Commerce's transportation array. Be careful. You're only at the mid-stage Golden Core realm." Yuan Tyran pondered for a moment, but still agreed to Chun Hao's request. "Understood," Chun Hao replied. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow." Chun Hao said. "Wait a moment," Yuan Tyran said and disappeared in front of Chun Hao. A moment later, he took out a storage ring and said, "There are some primal crystal stones in here and 3 sets of Earth-class mid-grade absolute art jade slips. 1 set of sword techniques, 1 set of movement techniques, and 1 set of quenching true yuan. This is all I can give you. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest. The world of cultivation is dangerous. Countless geniuses have fallen in training. Only true geniuses can stand out. Work hard." After Chun Hao left the star-picking peak, a figure silently came to the palace of the sect master, Yuan Tyran. It was the elder of imparting techniques. Whoosh! The next day, a stream of light streaked across the sky. Chun Hao stepped on a cloud and left the star-picking sect at lightning speed. He had truly stepped into the world of cultivation. 3 million miles isn't very far. There are still 2 months before the 100 Empire ranking competition begins. Since I'm out, there's no need to use the teleportation formation, Chen Hao thought to himself as he flew quickly in the void. A map of the eastern continent appeared in his mind. He was very clear about the rules of the world of cultivation. Of course, he would not forget his conflict with Fanfong. However, it would not be in his character to stay in the star-picking sect forever just because of Fanfong. Although Chen Hao had not tested his current combat strength, he believed that even if he could not defeat Fanfong, he could at least survive. The star-picking sect was only a third-rank sect. He could be considered a super genius in the star-picking sect and was highly regarded by the sect master. However, compared to the geniuses in the world of cultivation, he was still at the bottom. If he wanted to improve quickly, he had to start training. So what if it was dangerous? Opportunity and danger went hand in hand. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Chen Hao increased his speed to the maximum. After entering the Golden Elixir realm, other than fighting the Golden Men, he did not have a real understanding of his speed and strength. After all, the Golden Men's combat strength was different from that of a cultivator. Their cooperation was perfect, but there was no change. After all, they lacked flexibility and flexibility. So fast, Chen Hao did not know that in the void, hundreds of miles away, a figure seemed to have merged with the world. His aura was completely restrained as he quietly followed him. After sensing Chen Hao's increasing speed, the figure was a little shocked. Even an advanced Golden Elixir Realm expert would not be able to match this kid in terms of speed. The sect master is still the best, the figure murmured. It was the elder of imparting skills of the star-picking sect. Yuan Tyron's importance to Chen Hao was definitely beyond his and the other elders' imagination. It was even more unbelievable that he had sent him, the elder of imparting skills. This made him a little dissatisfied. But at this moment, Chen Hao displayed a speed that was completely beyond his level, which made him feel a little better. P.S. I'm very, very sorry. I was delayed by something today. It just so happens that there is a plot twist that needs to be carefully thought out, so I wrote it very slowly. Today is the first update. Everyone, please don't wait. Tomorrow, Dark Mountain will pay you back at midnight. Sorry. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 240. Air Restricting Area. This should be the Dark Forest, right? 3 days later, Chen Hao was forced to land on a mountain. He stared at the scene in front of him and said in his mind. Behind him, there were mountains, green trees, and bright sunlight. It was full of vitality. However, after crossing the mountain in front of him, there were layers of fog, revealing a gloomy and dark aura. Yes, Master, the Dark Forest is 100,000 miles wide and nearly 1,000,000 miles long. It is the most suitable place for practitioners of the Gold Core realm to gain experience. There are many spiritual herbs with special effects, which are very valuable. Many rogue cultivators and sect disciples come here to gain experience. When I reached the peak of the Gold Core realm, I stayed here for 3 years. I got the concealment skill, an upper-class Earth rank unique skill, from a disciple of a 7th grade sect. Moreover, there are countless demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm here. There are also many middle Gold Core realm demonic beasts, and few late Gold Core realm demonic beasts. Only the core area is suitable for you to gain experience with your battle strength, as long as you don't enter the core area, Idota said respectfully. In the end, Chen Hao did not destroy his soul. This guy had rich experience in Jianghu. He should be of great help to Chen Hao, who is about to enter the cultivation world. Well, I will gain experience here for 2 months first. As he spoke, Chen Hao could already see several streaks of light entering the dark forest from a distance. Judging from their aura, they should be at the middle Gold Core realm. Chen Hao's body shook, and he entered the dark forest. At first glance, there was gray fog everywhere. The air was filled with the strong aura of demonic beasts, which made Chen Hao feel a sense of oppression from the depths of his soul. The range of his perception was greatly restricted. It was less than 1/3 of the outside world. Just as Idota said, Chen Hao had only gone more than 10 miles when he encountered dozens of demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm. These demonic beasts were very smart. They sensed Chun Hao's aura and quickly avoided him. They did not even dare to approach him. Even so, Chun Hao took the initiative to attack and killed several demonic beasts. He felt no threat at all. Roar! After traveling 1,000 li, a peak late-stage golden core demonic beast exuding a terrifying aura blocked Chun Hao's path. Three-headed golden-crowned python. Finally, I've met a powerful one. Chun Hao stopped abruptly as excitement flashed in his eyes. Master, the three-headed golden-crowned python is very fast and can use its demonic energy to fly. Its ultimate move is the poison origin tongue of the three-headed golden-crowned python, which is as fast as lightning. Once one is touched by its tongue, one will be poisoned. The poison is so strong that even a nascent soul realm cultivator would be severely injured. If the poison isn't forced out in time, one will instantly rot into a pile of flesh. Okay. Chun Hao stood still on the spot, his eyes glittering as he stared at the three-headed golden-crowned python. This beast was 20 zhang long and as thick as 3 people. It coiled up like a small hill. The scales on its body shone with a golden glow, emitting a metallic luster. Its 3 heads were held high, and its forked tongues flickered in and out of its 3 mouths, dripping with stinky saliva. Its 6 scarlet eyes stared at Chun Hao, as if it was looking at a prey that was within its grasp. Hundreds of feet away, one of the heads of the 3-headed golden-crowned python suddenly spat out a putrid black fog at Chun Hao. Dragon subduing palm. Stubby sword. Chun Hao stepped forward and struck out with his left palm. Immediately, he formed a sword with his right hand and attacked at the same time. A sharp sword radiance, carrying the mysterious aura of the W formation, followed closely behind the 18 dragons and shot towards the 3-headed golden-crowned python. Boom! The black fog was directly shattered by the dragon subduing palm. Chun Hao's sword radiance rushed towards the middle head of the 3-headed golden-crowned python like lightning. The 3-headed golden-crowned python let out a strange cry. Its coiled body suddenly uncoiled, and its tail, which was covered in golden scales, swept out horizontally. The small hill was flattened, and it swiftly collided with Chun Hao's sword light. Ding! Boom! Chun Hao's sword radiance only left a shallow mark on the scales before it was shattered. Amazing! Chun Hao was slightly surprised. This 3-headed golden-crowned python is much stronger than the Golden Man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. It can even block 90% of my attack. No wonder it didn't dodge like other low-level demonic beasts. Chun Hao's expression became serious as he looked at the dispersing poisonous fog that caused the surrounding plants to lose all their vitality. Clang! The 5 elements golden sword was unsheathed. A sharp sword intent soared into the sky. Chun Hao stabbed out. Puff! The scales were broken. Explode! With a boom, a huge hole appeared on the tail of the 3-headed golden-crowned python. Smelly blood spurted out. It was so painful that it let out a sharp roar. Its huge body rose into the air and coiled around Chun Hao like lightning. At the same time, it opened its 3 mouths and released an even more terrifying poisonous fog. Good boy. This 3-headed golden-crowned python is a demonic beast at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. Its defense, speed, strength, and especially the poison it contains. Even a genius disciple at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm would be forced to retreat. He is only at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm. He is really bold. Come closer. Above the dark clouds, dozens of miles away, a figure's gaze seemed to penetrate the clouds and locked onto Chun Hao. When Chun Hao encountered the 3-headed golden-crowned python, he muttered to himself. After he finished speaking, he moved closer as fast as lightning, ready to attack at any time. This figure was the Elder of Imparting Arts who had secretly followed him. Sword intent. This boy has also comprehended sword intent. When he saw Chun Hao break through the defense of the 3-headed golden-crowned python with his second sword, the Elder of Imparting Arts was a little surprised. But when he saw that Chun Hao did not retreat in the face of the angry 3-headed golden-crowned python, he was immediately frightened. Without hesitation, his figure flashed and shot out as fast as lightning. Die for me. A huge hand suddenly appeared, carrying with it the power of heaven. In Chun Hao's surprise, it directly grabbed the three heads of the three-headed golden-crowned python and dragged it into the air. Bang, bang, bang. With three explosions, flesh and blood splattered. Instant kill. Great Elder? Chun Hao frowned slightly. Looking at the figure that appeared in the air, he was very unhappy. His rising battle intent was forcibly cut off. Who would be happy? Boy, are you crazy? Did you not read the information that the sect gave you? This is a three-headed golden-crowned python. Not to mention that you are only in the middle stage of the Aurus Core realm. Even a peak late-stage Aurus Core realm cultivator would have to retreat. Nascent soul realm cultivators can only fight from a distance. You want to fight in close combat? Are you not courting death? That venom can instantly destroy your physical body. The Elder of Imparting Skills stared at Chun Hao and said, with your experience, it's best that you don't train alone. Train with the experts in the sect for a period of time and increase your knowledge. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Great Elder, have you been following me? Chun Hao's expression was a little strange. He avoided the Elder of Imparting Arts' words and asked in return, you are the rare genius of a Zhaixing sect. You have no experience, and with Fan Fong as your enemy, how could the sect leader let you go out alone? I should have known. Damn it. Hearing the great Elder's words, Chun Hao cursed gloomily in his heart. After a moment of silence, he said, thank you for your concern, sect leader and great Elder, but if you do this, my training will be meaningless. Great Elder, please go back. The great Elder frowned slightly. Of course, he knew what Chun Hao was thinking. This time, he had indeed acted too early. Moreover, Chun Hao obviously did not understand the power of the three-colored golden-crowned python. Anyone would be displeased, but there was no other way. The three-headed golden-crowned python's venom was too strong. If Chun Hao were to fight in close combat, even he would not be able to save Chun Hao in time. The situation this time is special. The three-colored golden-crowned python must not be fought in close combat. If even the slightest touch of its venom, even I would not be able to save you. Otherwise, I would not have interrupted you. If I could avoid interfering, I would try my best not to interfere. Be careful. Take the three-headed golden-crowned python's inner core and scales. After the great Elder finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Chun Hao. Chun Hao gloomily cut off the inner core and the huge snake skin and put them into his storage space. I have to shake him off. He's simply treating me like a bird. Since I'm fighting in close combat, I'll definitely be able to block the poison. Damn it. Chun Hao's valiant and spirited fighting spirit seemed to have been doused with a basin of cold water. He no longer had the mood to train as he spoke in his mind. It won't be easy to shake him off. He is the Elder of the Zhaixing sect who has reached the peak of the incarnation realm. Unless you can cultivate my concealment technique to the peak, it won't be easy to shake him off. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. It's a good thing that he's here. This time, the reason he acted was because the three-headed golden-crowned python's venom was too strong. If I wanted to protect you, I would have done the same. Good thing my ass. With this soul shackle, how can it be called training? Shaking him off is easy. Chun Hao's face flashed with a hint of arrogance. His figure immediately turned into a stream of light and quickly fled towards the dark forest. At the same time, a mysterious rune suddenly rose from the storage space of the Xianhuang bracelet and covered the sect token. Everything that could be since had been sealed. The first Elder was not old Xiao. Chun Hao could rely on his powerful soul and the ability to restrain his aura to avoid him. However, the current Chun Hao was also not the Chun Hao of the past. With the ability to restrain his aura, he believed that he could easily shake off the first Elder. Who? His figure rapidly ran forward for 1,000 miles. Chun Hao did not hide his strength and directly displayed his terrifying strength. When he felt that the first Elder should be a little more relaxed about him, he entered a cave and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Chun Hao was very clear that the first Elder was sensing his aura and not looking at him. After condensing his aura and energy into a piece and using a simple energy sealing formation to prevent the energy from dissipating and his aura from dissipating. Chun Hao retracted all of his aura and merged with the heaven and earth. Like a gust of wind, he escaped from the cave. A cicada shedding its carapace. This spirit array should be able to last for 3 days. When Grand Elder discovers it, Chun Hao's mouth carried a wisp of a complacent smile as he quietly headed in another direction, quickly and silently. First update. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 241. Several hours later, Chun Hao, who did not carry any aura, passed through the dark forest like a gust of wind and avoided countless demon beasts at the peak of the late Golden Core stage. Chun Hao was sure that no matter how powerful the Grand Elder was, he could not lock onto his aura at a distance of nearly 10,000 miles. In front of him was an endless desert. There was no sign of life, and the sun was like fire. Without the restriction of the air restriction domain, Chun Hao rose into the air and increased his speed to the limit. Half a day later, Chun Hao flew at full speed for more than 10,000 miles and finally passed through the desert. Tall mountains and flowing water appeared in front of him, full of green and vitality. This should be the Swallow Dang mountain range. If I head southeast for another 10,000 miles, I'll reach the first city, Oasis City. I'll use Oasis City's teleportation formation to leave this place first. Chun Hao compared the terrain of the mountain range in front of him with a map in his mind. After determining his location, he once again increased his speed to the limit. Chun Hao, who was flying at high speed, suddenly stopped and frowned. His powerful soul perception caught several auras that instantly surrounded him and approached him at lightning speed. Suddenly, a hideous laugh sounded. The figures no longer hid their auras and surrounded Chun Hao like a giant bird spreading its wings. Kid, your senses are very sharp. Leave everything behind, and we'll let you live. The leader stared at Chun Hao as if he was looking at a fat sheep. His aura was obviously at the late Golden Core stage. The other 5 had also reached the peak of the middle Golden Core stage. Want to rob me? Chun Hao's expression was calm and said without the slightest fear. The 6 people immediately laughed. The leader said, cut the crap. Hand it over yourself. Or do you want us to do it? We've waited for 3 days and finally found one. Although he's a little thin, it's better than nothing. Ha! Boss, this kid has reached the middle Golden Core stage at such a young age. He must be a genius disciple of the sect. Don't talk nonsense with him. Just kill him. At this moment, another person said. These 6 people were rogue cultivators who roamed the world of cultivation and specialized in killing and robbing. The cultivators who were training in the Dark Forest would usually pass by this area and go to Oasis City to rest after their training. If they encountered a powerful team, they would naturally avoid them. However, they would not let off a lone wolf like Chun Hao. This was especially true for someone like Chun Hao, whose cultivation base was low. Moreover, it was obvious that he did not have any experience. He was definitely a fat lamb waiting to be slaughtered. With experience, who would dare to recklessly fly in the air in such a remote place? Leave your storage rings behind, break your own hands, and I'll spare your lives. Cut the crap. Chun Hao suddenly said coldly. What? This kid is crazy. Hiss. Puff. A beam of sword light appeared without warning. The expert at the peak of the middle stage Gold Core stage had no chance to resist at all. A fist-sized hole appeared in his throat. Before he could even scream, he fell directly from the void. What? The other 5 people, including the leader of the late-stage Golden Core cultivators, all exclaimed. Of death, of a man, brothers of the world, of the kill. Boom, boom. Wind, 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 heart-piercing blade. Fist shattering mountains and rivers. Leg conquering mountains and rivers. Frightened, the 5 people directly used their killing moves. They often did this kind of thing and had encountered many difficult opponents. Although they were frightened by the speed and strength of Chun Hao's sneak attack, Chun Hao was only in the middle of the Golden Core stage, and this was caused by underestimating the enemy. The leader of the Golden Core stage gathered all his strength in a punch. Coupled with the cooperation of the four brothers, he believed that he could definitely kill Chun Hao. But he did not expect that Chun Hao would slap out with his palm, and the 18 giant dragons instantly smashed the five people's joint attack. Danger! Having experienced countless battles, the five people instinctively felt a sense of danger that made their hair stand on end. Subconsciously, they activated their true essence and retreated quickly. But puff, puff, puff. You can't even withstand a single blow from an advanced Golden Core stage cultivator. How could such trash rob us? The five people who were on the verge of death heard Chun Hao's indifferent and disdainful voice and immediately lost consciousness. Master, you're too strong. With your combat power in the Golden Core stage, other than the genius disciples of the high-level sects, I'm afraid no one is your match. These guys are just ordinary itinerant cultivators. If you're at the peak of the middle of the Golden Core stage, they won't dare to stop you. Is that so? Then it seems that I'll have to use your concealment technique in the future to hide my cultivation level. I don't like to look for trouble, but I don't mind if others come looking for me to get rich. The more, the better. Chun Hao released a stream of energy and stored the six people's storage rings and dropped weapons into the Xianwang ring. He did not have time to count them and sped toward Oasis City. But this time, Chun Hao concealed his aura even as he flew. He had no choice. His main task now was to completely shake off the Great Elder. The Dragon Transformation list this time is held in the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Let's go, big brother. It's not the time to choose disciples yet. Yu wants to go to Black Iron City for a walk. Is that okay? Just as Chun Hao shrugged and was about to leave the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, a voice suddenly came from behind, causing Chun Hao to stop abruptly. Yu, it's not that I don't want you to go, but Father has ordered, big brother, I beg you. Yu is already at the peak of the Mastery Nascent Soul stage. You'll be fine. Yu will definitely come back before the end of the competition. Okay? Other than our Ling Tian sect, Yu hasn't gone anywhere else. Both of their voices were very soft. Amidst the noisy discussion, nobody noticed them. However, only the girl's voice remained in Chun Hao's mind. Her heavenly voice did not change at all. Yu, don't make things difficult for me. When the Dragon Transformation list ends, I'll take you out to play. You can go anywhere you want. Let's go. Under the black veil, Xia Yuyu's clear and beautiful eyes revealed a trace of sadness. She could only follow the young man into the sky and fly directly to the training field where the Dragon Transformation list was held. Wow, isn't that Xia and Tian? The four great young masters are all here. Who's that girl? Could it be Xia Yuyu? Xia Yuyu. It's definitely Xia Yuyu. Although she's wearing a veil, her peerless charm. This is going to be lively. I'm afraid even the Origin School might not be able to compete with the Ling Tian sect this time. Yuyu's appearance and a smile. Who can resist her? Nobody dared to fly in the sky in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Apart from the senior members of the sect, nobody dared to fly in the sky. Therefore, when Xian and Tian and Xia Yuyu flew in the sky, they instantly attracted the attention of countless people. It was only then that Chun Hao turned around to look at the figure he had not seen for more than 2 years. She was devastatingly beautiful. Although it was only her back view, it still made Chun Hao's heart sway. It had been more than 2 years. When Chun Hao gave up on the Dragon Transformation list, he had thought that he would take it one step at a time. He had thought that the figure that had once irresistible entered the depths of his heart would fade with time. However, at this moment, when he saw her again, Chun Hao was clear that she was still her. Her voice, her aura, and her figure still moved him in an instant without any reason or reason. Love at first sight, it was fated. Perhaps it was because of the surging emotions in his heart, or perhaps it was because he could not control his emotions. But Chun Hao could not help but release his aura. The beautiful figure that had already floated past the crowd in the air was suddenly startled. under the gazes of thousands of people, she abruptly turned around and looked straight at Chun Hao. Oh no! The moment he saw Xia Yu turn around, Chun Hao was shocked. He quickly retracted his aura and blended into the crowd in a flash. Yu, what's wrong? Second update. Try to finish the third update before 12. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 242. No, nothing. Xia Yu blankly looked at the unfamiliar faces, her heart beating faster. But to her disappointment, she didn't see any familiar figures. For more than 2 years, she had been cultivating and cultivating. Being confined, she was like a bird in a cage, without any freedom or joy. But in order to obtain freedom, she could only cultivate and improve herself. Stepping from the martial god realm to the peak of the late nascent soul realm in 2 years, what kind of concept was that? She had obtained supreme glory and the title of the #1 beauty in the Eastern continent in 1,000 years. She had obtained the meticulous care and nurturing of her family, but she couldn't feel happy. She had thought that after reaching the peak of the late nascent soul realm, she would obtain freedom, but she didn't expect that it would be this kind of freedom. Her big brother, who was at the incarnation realm, and the elders who had been hiding in the surroundings were like an invisible cage, and she was just a little bird in a moving cage. The cage was the one with freedom, not her. The aura she had sensed had come too quickly and left too quickly. It had been so quick that Xia Yu thought it was an illusion. I was thinking too much. He had already given up on the dragon transformation list in the star-picking sect. How could he appear here? Xia Yu turned her head in disappointment and continued to follow her big brother. She wasn't like Chun Hao, who had his own freedom. She didn't have any distracting thoughts in her environment. Other than the sect tournament, she didn't have any opportunities to come into contact with the outside world. She could only see her parents, grandfather, and a few other relatives who had raised her like a treasure. Therefore, unlike Chun Hao, she wouldn't let the 1.5 years of cultivation remain silent in her heart. Secretly staring at Xia Yu, who had turned around and left at a loss, the corner of Chun Hao's mouth revealed a bitter smile. Especially after hearing the discussions of the people around him, his heart surged. You're a heavenly daughter, and I'm just a nameless mid-Golden Core Realm kid. I can't see you for the time being, and I'm not worthy of you. I don't want my dignity to be trampled on again. Wait for me. Wait for me to be strong enough. Chun Hao's eyes shone with a resplendent light as he hardened his heart. The scene of Xia Yu's father and grandfather trampling on his dignity made him clench his fists and clench his teeth. It's him. When Chun Hao resolutely walked out of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man who was guarding the entrance saw Chun Hao walking against the flow of people. His eyes flashed with an imperceptible excitement. Then, he quietly activated the communication talisman in his hand. Black Iron City? This kid seems to be running away from someone. He first appeared in Oasis City, then Scenic Cloud City, then Myriad Phenomenon City, Dragon Elephant City, and Silver's Now City. He did not stop at all. This time, he finally exited the teleportation array in Black Iron City. Inform Fan Fong immediately. Yes, the leader of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce, who was in charge of this mission, gave the order. The Myriad Links Trading Company had countless masters and spies all over the Eastern continent. As long as anyone could pay the right price, they could obtain information that satisfied their customers. Even though it was only a merchant association, in the entire Eastern continent, even the Yuan School, the leader of the 9th-ranked sects, did not dare to rashly offend it. Not only were they well-informed, but there was also a more important reason. The president of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce was a top expert with a mysterious identity. Walking on the wide street, Chun Hao, who originally wanted to stroll around Black Iron City, lost all interest and quickly headed out of the city. 30,000 miles south of Black Iron City, the Black Wind Ancient Cave was Chun Hao's destination. According to Ito Ta, the third floor of the Black Wind Ancient Cave was one of the most suitable places for Golden Elixir Realm practitioners to train. The first and second floors were where Conceited Realm disciples trained. The Black Wind Ancient Cave contained precious black iron or veins and countless demonic beasts that could not be killed. No one knew how many floors there were, how deep, and how big the cave was. It was easy to get lost in the crisscrossing and winding natural ancient cave. It had been nearly 1,000 years since its discovery. In the beginning, many practitioners never came out after entering, and it was listed as a dangerous place to train. More than 100 years ago, the Heavenly Armament Pavilion condensed a huge teleportation array at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave and sold teleportation talismans. Only then did the Black Wind Ancient Cave become a treasured place for countless sect disciples and independent practitioners to train. Whoosh! After exiting the south gate of Black Iron City, Chunhao immediately flew into the air and turned into a stream of light. Perhaps it was because the Dragon Transformation list attracted most practitioners, but Chunhao did not meet any practitioners along the way. It was only when he neared the Black Wind Ancient Cave that he saw a few practitioners, either alone or in groups of 3 to 5. Target has arrived at the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Target has entered the Black Wind Ancient Cave, did not purchase a teleportation talisman. Chunhao did not know that when he walked out of Black Iron City, a bird-like thing without any energy aura was constantly 100 miles away, locking on to Chunhao's whereabouts. The middle-aged man who discovered Chunhao in Black Iron City was transmitting the news in real time. This was the most powerful tracking treasure of the Myriad Links trading firm, the Puppet Bird. Even a Primordial Soul Realm expert would not be able to detect it, let alone Chunhao. The small puppet bird contained powerful concealment and communication arrays. It relied on energy crystals to fly, and its maximum speed was comparable to a peak late-stage Primordial Soul Realm expert. Furthermore, it did not have any life aura. What? Fan Fong, who was leading more than 10 mid-stage and late-stage Golden Elixir experts, was rushing towards Black Iron City through the city's teleportation array. He frowned when he received the news. Is this kid crazy? How dare he not go through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array? Damn it! Fan Fong cursed angrily. Even he did not dare to enter the Black Wind Ancient Cave without going through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Without a teleportation talisman, it was basically impossible to get out once one entered. Otherwise, it would not have been designated as a dangerous training ground. Should we continue to follow? Our puppet bird may not be able to get out of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. If you want to chase, you'll need to pay an additional 30 million level 8 elixirs. 30 million. After receiving the news, Fan Fong's face turned green. Where'd he get 30 million elixirs from? He could only rely on himself. An hour later, Fan Fong and the 13 Sword Faction disciples arrived at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. 14 teleportation talismans and 14 positioning discs, and 140 pairs of communication talismans, Fan Fong said directly after arriving at the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array. 14 teleportation talismans, 1. 4 million level 8 elixirs, 14 positioning discs, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, 140 pairs of communication talismans, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, a total of 68 million level 8 elixirs. Fan Fong quickly paid for the elixirs. Even he felt the pinch. Originally, they only needed to wait at the teleportation array until Chunhao came out. But now, Fan Fong had no choice but to go in. Because Chunhao did not buy any teleportation talismans, it meant that he could stay in there for years, decades, or even never come out. He might even die in there. This was not what he wanted. Because Chunhao's inner demon had not been removed, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, did not dare to trigger the divine punishment. He had already been delayed for 2 years. How could he dare to delay any longer? After buying the items, Fan Fong distributed the teleportation talismans, positioning discs, and communication talismans to the 13 disciples and went straight to the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Did you see this kid? He came an hour ago. After Fan Fong finished speaking, he appeared in front of the young disciples who had gathered not far away. He took out a portrait of Chun Hao and asked. This was the first level of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Usually, many cultivators would gather here after entering or wait for someone. I saw him. He went that way. The young disciples felt the powerful aura and pressure from Fan Fong and did not dare to lie. One of them said, "Let's go." At Fan Fong's command, he led the 13 men and chased after them at lightning speed. The disciples of the Sword Faction, what a terrifying aura. Could it be the super genius of the Sword Faction, Fan Fong? I feel that his aura is even more terrifying than Senior Brother Chen Hua's. It is Fan Fong. I saw him 2 years ago during the recruitment of disciples for the 100 Empire ranking. It is said that even disciples in the early nascent soul stage are no match for him. That kid, just now, must be Chun Hao, the one who fought to a draw with the champion of the previous 100 Empire rankings. How awesome! He has actually advanced to the intermediate Golden Core stage. When I saw him just now, I was still wondering how there could be someone who looked so similar. Since Fan Fong has chased after him, he must be Chun Hao. Senior Brother Li, they have a grudge? Those who went to the 100 Empire ranking knew. This Chun Hao killed Fan Fong's most beloved little sister in the Divine Battle Ruins. You might not know this, but at that time, several sects were trying to get Chun Hao to join them, and they even made special offers to Fan Fong. Oh, that Chun Hao is really not simple. He has advanced to the intermediate Golden Core stage so quickly. Unfortunately, he is doomed this time. That may not be true. This Fan Fong is a bit of an idiot. If I were him, I would wait at the teleportation array in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. The Dark Wind Cave is crisscrossing. Looking for someone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Although it is only an hour, there are so many forks. If Chun Hao is lucky, it will not be easy to catch up. The demonic beasts on the first level could not stop them at all. But after more than 10 minutes, 5 tunnels appeared in front of them. Split up and chase. You will split into 4 groups. Once you find him, send me a message immediately. Intermediate and peak Golden Core stage, do not attack. Just tail him. That kid is already at the intermediate Golden Core stage. His combat power may be very high. Advanced Golden Core stage. Catch him. I will take care of him. When you meet a fork, split up if you can. When you meet a cultivator, ask him. But don't waste too much time. His target should be the 3rd level. If you can't catch up in an hour, find the entrance to the 2nd level. Don't waste time on the 2nd level. Go straight to the 3rd level. Yes. Chun Hao's body was like a gust of wind, shuttling through the cave quickly. Itoda was indeed a veteran who made a living by killing and robbing people. This Dark Wind ancient cave was thousands of miles wide. It was extremely complicated and crisscrossing. He was familiar with it. When he was hunted down, he hid in the Dark Wind ancient cave for 10 whole years. This saved Chun Hao 100,000 level 8 spiritual pills. Otherwise, Chun Hao would have to buy a teleportation talisman. 3rd update. Make up for yesterday's overdue stamp. I'm really sorry. There are so many things to do these days, and I can't escape from them. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 243. Ito-ta. You are wrong 3 times. Is there a problem with your memory? 3 hours later, with Chun Hao's speed, in the rugged and complex first floor of the Black Wind Ancient Cave, he ran more than 30,000 miles. According to the route of the 2nd floor, he walked 3 times, but he did not find the entrance, which made Chun Hao lose his patience. Cough. It seems that something is wrong. My memory is correct. Obviously, the 3 places I pointed have the entrance to the 2nd floor. How can there be no entrance? Could it be that the Black Wind Ancient Cave has changed in these years? It should be like this. This Black Wind Ancient Cave is also an ancient ruin. So far, no one has been able to explore it completely. Let's go back and ask other cultivators. As for going out, don't worry, just casually kill 2 people. Ito-ta said awkwardly. Itoda was here when he was at the peak of the late Jidan realm. It was decades ago. Even he did not expect such a situation to happen. With his cultivation at the peak of the late Yuanying realm, his memory should not be confused. In the future, I am not a devil cultivator. I will kill those who should be killed, but killing innocent people is not allowed. Chen Hao said. Just now, along the way, he saw a lot of Xiantian disciples, who were basically in groups of 5 or 6, and some of the groups were guarded by peak late gold core stage experts. According to Ito Ta, these disciples were basically the genius disciples of the sect. There were very few rogue cultivators. Because the transmission talisman of Heavenly Armament Pavilion was too expensive, 100,000 8th level spirit pills, ordinary rogue cultivators were reluctant to pay. Of course, there were also people like Chun Hao who did not buy the transmission talisman. However, these people were basically the same as Itoda. They came in with the mentality of killing people and robbing them. If they wanted to go out, they could kill a few people and get the transmission talisman. The premise was that they could not get lost in the Black Wind ancient cave. Even if they had the transmission talisman, they would not dare to go too deep. From the Black Wind ancient cave to Heavenly Armament Pavilion, the distance in a straight line could not exceed 100,000 miles, otherwise the transmission talisman would fail. Since Heavenly Armament Pavilion spent a lot of money to build a giant transmission array at the entrance of the Black Wind ancient cave for more than 100 years, there were still countless cultivators who entered but did not come out. However, this ancient Dark Wind cave is indeed like a maze. If we want to leave without a teleportation talisman, I'm afraid that we won't be able to leave, Chun Hao said with a frown. Although he had a photographic memory, he didn't pay attention to the number of forks when he came in because of Itoda. These forked paths were crisscrossed, densely packed, and extremely complicated. Most importantly, the entrance of every single forked path was extremely similar. That's right. Let's go back and ask around. Let's go to the 3rd floor first. With master strength, I'm afraid no one would dare to find trouble with you on the 1st and 2nd floors. As for the 3rd floor, fighting over it is too common. Moreover, the 3rd floor has the most cultivators. Many people stay there for a year or so, or even several years. Oh, why is it taking so long? Chun Hao asked in surprise. Firstly, the teleportation talisman is too expensive. It's not easy to come in. Secondly, the 3rd level was indeed a treasured cultivation ground for Golden Core Realm cultivators. The number of demon beasts was enormous, and the various ranks were divided according to a pattern. Thirdly, there were many caves and palaces on the 3rd floor. Demon beasts couldn't enter, so cultivators could cultivate in peace. This is very important. Another point is that there are more precious black iron ores on the 3rd floor. If you're lucky, you can obtain more precious black iron crystals or even a priceless black iron quintessence. This is one of the materials to refine spiritual weapons or even earth-level and heaven-level spiritual treasures. In addition to these, in the past 1,000 years, many talented cultivators had fallen in there. Naturally, their belongings were also left behind. In that case, it's indeed a good place. Unfortunately, I only have 2 months. Chun Hao said, besides the 1st to 3rd floors, are there any more advanced places? I'm not sure. Logically speaking, there should be. After all, this ancient Dark Wind cave is very mysterious and huge. It's definitely not a low-level relic. However, until now, no one has explored the entrance to the 4th floor. The main reason is that the terrain is too complicated. Once you get lost, you might die in there. While they were talking, Chun Hao avoided some low-level demon beasts and came out of the cave at an amazing speed. After running for more than 10 minutes, he finally met a cultivator at the peak of the middle stage golden elixir realm. However, the cultivator was running quickly towards a fork in the road and didn't sense Chun Hao's presence at all. The peak of the middle stage golden elixir realm. You should be going to the 3rd floor. Itoda's soul perception was stronger than Chun Hao's when Chun Hao didn't suppress it. When he sensed that the cultivator was alone and was avoiding low-level demon beasts, Itoda said, ask him or follow him. Follow him. Chen Hao frowned slightly after seeing the style and color of the cultivator's Taoist robe. Although he only saw the back and didn't see the insignia on the cultivator's chest, Chen Hao was sure that the cultivator was a disciple of the sword faction. However, Chen Hao didn't think that it had anything to do with him. Even if Fan Fong was powerful, he couldn't have caught up so quickly. Not to mention Fan Fong, even the Elder of Imparting Skills have been shaken off. How could Fan Fong catch up with him? Master, something's wrong. This disciple is from a sword faction, Itoda said immediately. Itoda already knew about Chen Hao and Fan Fong when the Elder of Imparting Skills from the Star-Picking sect came to protect him. What's the big deal? It's just the sword faction, not Fan Fong. Besides, even if it's Fan Fong, what's there to be afraid of? Chen Hao said casually. Fan Fong was still in the Golden Elixir realm. Although he was half a step away from the Nascent Soul realm, he was still a super genius, and his combat strength must be very high. However, as long as he wasn't in the Nascent Soul realm, Chen Hao had nothing to be afraid of. You'd better be careful. Master, I know that your combat strength is very high, but Fan Fong is indeed a rare genius. Although he's only a 6th grade faction, he could be famous in the world of cultivation not only because of his fast progress, but also because of his terrifying combat strength. He's half a step away from the Nascent Soul realm and can reach the Nascent Soul realm at any time. Boom, boom, boom. Chen Hao followed the disciples silently and moved forward quickly. At this moment, they passed through a huge cave that was hundreds of feet wide and entered a huge space with a radius of thousands of feet. 6 or 7 disciples in the Nascent Soul realm were crazily hunting demonic beasts. Next to them was a middle-aged man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. As for Chen Hao, when he saw a few more passageways appear in the huge space, he stopped and quickly walked towards the disciples. Get out of my way, the disciple of the sword faction shouted and swung his sword to kill a large number of demonic beasts. He came near them like lightning and said with a trace of arrogance, "Don't be afraid. I'm an inner disciple of the sword faction. I just want to ask you something. Have you seen this person before?" To Chen Hao's surprise, the disciple of the sword faction took out a portrait and asked under the watchful eyes of the other expert. "No, we haven't. I'm sorry." The middle-aged man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm relaxed slightly. When the disciple of the sword faction came over, he recognized him as a disciple of the sword faction. And the strength he showed when killing the demonic beasts just now was not something he could compete with, although he was in the same realm as the disciple. Damn it! The disciple of the Flying Sword School cursed. His body flashed, and he directly rushed into a cave, quickly leaving. Amazing. He's really looking for me. Chen Hao's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness and ridicule as he said in his mind. It must be the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. Fan Fong seems to have paid a big price. Ito Ta said with great certainty. Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. A chamber of commerce that specializes in selling information is so powerful, Chen Hao said. Chen Hao had seen the introduction of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce in the sex information, but he didn't take it seriously. Yes, the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce is very powerful. As long as you can afford it, there is no information that they can't find. Not to mention that you don't even have a disguise now, and your cultivation is only at the middle of the Golden Elixir realm. Even if I used the possession technique and the concealment technique, I couldn't escape their eyes. Yifei Shua knew that I was in the Sky Wolf Demon area, and she also paid a big price to buy the information from the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. In the world of cultivation, they have spies in every city. Unless you stay in the wilderness and don't come into contact with anyone, there's no wall that doesn't have a crack. Fan Fong must be in the cave as well. Master, with your current strength, I'm afraid. How do you know if you don't try? Let's kill him first. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he quietly followed. Master, he must have a communication talisman and a positioning disc on him. Kill him in one blow. Don't give him any chance to spread the news. Ito Ta saw that Chen Hao had no intention of avoiding and hurriedly said, in terms of killing and robbing, This guy was definitely quite experienced. What is a positioning disc? Chen Hao asked. It had to be said that reading 10,000 books was not as good as traveling 10,000 miles. The sex information was very detailed, but it was impossible to record any details. There were still many things that Chen Hao needed to understand about this mystical world. It is the same as the teleportation talisman. It is a tool that the Sky Armament Pavilion condensed according to the Black Wind Ancient Cave. On the positioning disc of the same group, you can see the position of the others. In other words, as long as you get this guy's positioning disc, you can know the position of Fan Fong and the people he brought. Moreover, the positioning disc will mark many entrances and the routes of the detected areas. As long as the communication talisman is not exposed, Master can assassinate one by one except for Fan Fong. But you have to be fast. Otherwise, the positioning disc of the second person to be killed will not move. If you're not holding it and always together, it will arouse the suspicion of the other party. That's right. I originally wanted to have a big fight. In that case, I will leave it for later, Chen Hao said with a slight smile. Blending into the world, the aura around him was restrained to the extreme. If it was in the arena, it could arouse the opponent's vigilance. But assassinating? Damn it, so many forks looking for ghosts. Let's go to the third level quickly. When there were several forks in the road again, the disciple of the sword faction stopped and took out the positioning disc. Right at this moment, a sword light suddenly streaked across without a sound. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 244. So dizzy. Why is it spinning? There was no reaction. There was not even the slightest intuition of impending death. This sword faction disciple was originally still staring at the positioning disc to see which entrance was closer. But suddenly, the positioning disc could not be seen. The scene in his eyes changed as it spun. He saw a headless corpse that looked very familiar. When he saw the person he was looking for sheathing his sword, his eyes widened. He realized something, but it was too late. He could only cry out in surprise in his heart, but he couldn't say it out loud. Darkness swallowed him. In your next life, remember to follow the right person, Chen Hao said coldly without the slightest bit of mercy. In fact, compared to Yi Wendao, he was already merciful, because he did not use the vermilion bird seal to destroy his soul. Death was like blowing out a lamp. Chen Hao directly opened the storage ring that had lost its brand and had become an ownerless object. This is the teleportation talisman, positioning disc, and communication talisman. There are quite a lot of things. Chen Hao said, yes, don't just take the storage ring. Quickly keep the Jindan and check the corpse. There might be other gains. Especially these sect disciples, they usually have things like protective armor. There are also weapons and so on. Many times, there are unexpected gains. That makes sense. Like my heaven and earth ring. Do others have many storage spaces that are integrated into the mind? If so, how do I take them out? Chen Hao asked as he worked. Don't worry about that. Your heaven and earth ring and 5-element sword are a combination spiritual weapon. Individually, it is only a low-grade spiritual weapon. But when combined, it is a high-grade spiritual weapon. In addition, the 5 divine beasts are integrated into the 5-element sword. At this moment, it is probably a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. There is still a huge room for improvement. Moreover, even a high-grade spiritual weapon may not have a storage space. The heaven and earth ring can only be considered an exception. At least for Jindan disciples, they probably don't have such a powerful spiritual weapon. Even if they do, after a person dies, their soul will leave the body and the spiritual weapon brand will be removed. It will also fall off by itself. Spiritual weapons were the general term for weapons and equipment that surpassed the category of ordinary metal. The materials used to refine them were precious, and they had formations that could increase attack and defense. A low-grade spirit artifact was extremely precious to disciples below the Xiantian realm, but to Golden Core realm experts, it was the most ordinary. However, for Golden Core disciples, even if they were ordinary sect disciples, it was very difficult for them to obtain a middle-grade spirit weapon. Most of them used the lower-grade spirit weapons that were given out by the sect. A high-grade spiritual artifact was even more impossible. Even for nascent soul realm experts, it was very rare. Of course, the super geniuses that the sect focused on nurturing might be an exception. Geniuses with great luck might also be an exception. Those that surpassed superior grade spirit artifacts were Earth rank and Heaven rank spirit artifacts. These were even rarer. Right at this moment, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit suddenly appeared and spoke in Chunhao's mind. With me here, would you still have to worry about missing any treasures? Are you done? Chunhao was pleasantly surprised. After stepping into the Golden Core realm, Chunhao had always been thinking about tempering the mysterious existence in his mind. Even when he was in the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven, he was still thinking about it. However, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit told him that they still needed some time, and that they could just wait for them to finish. Up until now, Treasure Hunting sword spirit had not appeared. If it's not good, can I come out? When you have time to cultivate, you can start tempering. Treasure Hunter's sword spirit said. Okay. Chunhao's face shone with a hint of anticipation as he said, without wasting any time. After a short conversation, Chunhao picked up the positioning disc and studied it carefully for a moment. The positioning disc was covered with dense and thin golden lines. From the curved shape of the golden lines and the number annotations, it could be seen that this was the map of the ancient Black Wind Cave. This bigger green, that is where I am. The other smaller green dots are where Fan Fong and the others are. The dark areas outside the red warning line are the areas that have not been detected. They are also the areas that are beyond the range of the teleportation talisman, right? Yes, that's right. Those flashing white dots are the entrances to the next level. The positioning disc only shows the map of the level you are on and your teammates. There are still 3 people on the first level who are approaching the entrance to the second level. They are not far in a straight line, but if you want to chase after them, it will be too late. It will take at least 30 to 40,000 miles to catch up. See you on the second level then, Chunhao said. Hiss. Chunhao turned into a stream of light and flew toward the nearest entrance to the second level. Not long after Chunhao left, several figures appear at the place where Chunhao had killed the disciple of the sword faction as fast as lightning. Coincidentally, he saw a headless corpse that had been gnawed by several demonic beasts. The corpse's white bones were exposed, and some pieces of meat hung on it. Not far away, there was a skull rolling. It was obvious that it had just been gnawed clean. The extremely valiant robe of the Flying Sword School disciple had also been turned into pieces and scattered around. A piece with the symbol of the sword faction embroidered on it was still shining with a faint light. Isn't that the disciple of the sword faction? Senior Brother Lee, it seems that the battle has begun. Amazing. He just died no more than a minute ago. Otherwise, the corpse would have been gnawed clean. I just don't know who it is. But Fan Fong and the others are at least at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, which is the same realm as Chunhao. Another disciple said, Chunhao's talent and battle strength are very terrifying. Although he is the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking, he is not inferior to the champion at all. In fact, he is even stronger. Otherwise, he would not have been snatched by so many high-level sects. Although the star-picking sect is 1 grade lower than our Thunder Valley, they have a 7-star Grotto Heaven, which is suitable for outer disciples to cultivate. This Chunhao might have comprehended a lot of heavenly Dao laws in there. These people were the disciples that Fan Fong had asked about at the entrance. Except for Senior Brother Lee, who was at the late stage of the Golden Elixir realm, the others were at the middle stage and early stage of the Golden Elixir realm. Chunhao was already very deep. Although the entrance to Edo Ta's memory had disappeared, the new entrance was not far away. After only an hour, a shining energy vortex appeared in front of Chunhao. It was like a circular door of light with a diameter of 10 feet. Hiss! Chunhao did not stop. He stepped in, and the light dimmed as his body merged into it. This Blackwind ancient cave is too big. There are 14 of us and 14 of us. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, he did not buy a transmission talisman or positioning talisman. Even if he wants to kill others to get them, it will take some time. Why don't we? F***CK his mother. On the second level of the Black Wind ancient cave, a figure was flying at an astonishing speed. The surrounding low-level demonic beasts sensed his aura and quickly avoided him. They were afraid that they would be killed if they were too slow. This figure was Fan Fong, who had entered the second level first. Fan Fong activated all 13 communication talismans and transmitted his voice into them. Don't look for him. Go straight to the third level. Look at the positioning disc. Try not to repeat the entrance. When you reach the third level, guard the entrance. That kid will come in sooner or later. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Yes, senior brother. Instantly, the 12 disciples of the sword faction, including Chun Hao, responded when they sensed the fluctuation of the communication talismans. The communication talismans came in pairs. They were useless after one use. Naturally, they would respond. However, Chun Hao had changed his voice to imitate the disciple he had killed. Although there were discrepancies, if one did not listen carefully, Fan Fong would not have noticed. Fan Fong indeed did not notice. After notifying them, he sped up again and rushed to the nearest entrance. More than 2 hours later, Fan Fong arrived at the entrance to the third level. He glanced at the positioning disc and saw that the others were quickly approaching the nearest entrance. He stepped into the light door. This idiot. I was still having a headache about how to kill a few more. He just stretched his neck out. On the second level, Chun Hao deliberately kept his speed about the same as the others. He quickly approached the nearest entrance to the third level. It was impossible not to be excited. Originally, if Chun Hao had killed 2 or 3 people, they would have noticed. But now, they were all guarding the entrance. This was simply courting death. At this moment, Chun Hao also found out how many people Fan Fong had brought. Including the one he had killed, there were 14 of them. In a flash of light, Chun Hao appeared on the third level of the ancient Black Wind cave. Whoosh, a cold demonic wind blew. The entire space was filled with a demonic aura that was many times stronger than on the first and second levels. On the third level, even the weakest demonic beast was at the golden elixir stage. Every entrance would teleport one to the edge of the third level. Demonic beasts were relatively rare and of lower levels. According to the positioning disc, as long as one followed a specific route, they would be able to avoid most of the demonic beasts and quickly arrive at the safe zone at the core of the explored area. The safe zone was the palace in the cave that Edo Ta said demonic beasts could not enter. After Chun Hao took out the positioning disc, he frowned slightly. He found that the light that represented Fan Fong and the others were not guarding the entrance. Instead, they were rushing to the safe zone at the core. Of the other 12 people, 6 had already stepped into the third level. They stopped at the entrance and did not move. Obviously, they were following Fan Fong's orders. The one heading to the core should be Fan Fong. Chun Hao thought for a while and guessed that the light should be Fan Fong. The others should not have disobeyed his orders. Then what was Fan Fong doing in the safe zone? There are 83 entrances on the positioning map alone. It would not be easy to guard me. Since this guy is going to core, is he looking for help? Or is he looking for a bounty? Very likely. The corners of Chun Hao's mouth revealed a wisp of a strategist's smile. After memorizing the route to the nearest teleportation point of the Flying Sword Sect disciple in his mind, he directly threw the positioning disc to a relatively hidden corner. His figure flashed, and his speed was raised to the limit. The aura around his body was also released without restraint, and it pressured the low-level, early-stage Golden Core stage demon beast to the point that they all avoided him. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 245. These high-level demonic beasts had extremely high intelligence. Even though they could sense that Chun Hao was only at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, his terrifying aura let them know that the human in front of them was not someone they could fight against. A quarter of an hour Half an hour, one person died. 2 hours later, two people died. Every time Chun Hao killed someone, he would loot their golden elixir and their belongings. After locking on to the next target through the compass, he would throw them into a hidden corner. In a short time, as long as Fan Fong did not withdraw his order to wait, he would not be able to detect Chun Hao's movements. Just as Chun Hao was flying toward the third person, the communication talismans he obtained from the three disciples of the Sword Clan vibrated at the same time. Which one of you left the entrance? Fan Fong's sullen voice reached Chun Hao's ears. I was discovered so quickly. Chun Hao suddenly stopped and thought to himself. Needless to say, someone must have picked up the compass. This time, even if Chun Hao wanted to get away with it, there was no way he could. Other than the first guy, who he heard, the other two people he just killed did not hear anything at all. And there was a female disciple. How could he imitate? Compass, 14 people's compass. What are these people doing at the entrance? A figure appeared at the entrance where Chun Hao had killed the second disciple of the Flying Sword School. Relying on his senses that were several times stronger than ordinary people, he easily discovered the positioning disc that Chun Hao had thrown in a hidden place. The figure frowned slightly and said, "Those who can enter here must be in the golden elixir realm. If they dare to guard the entrance, they must be dealing with someone. If that's the case, they should not be in the early stage of the golden elixir realm. They were killed without a sound. This sneak attack could be Lung Yihan. He should have been in the ancient Black Wind Cave for 2 days. It's very possible. It's best if someone kills you. He is only in the middle stage of the golden elixir realm, but he stole all my thunder. If not for that sneak attack, how could I lose to him?" This figure was the inner disciple of the myriad elixir pavilion, Nie Wanshan, ranked first among the top 10 masters. But this first place was in the past, because now, Lung Yihan was the #1 master in the inner sect of the myriad pill pavilion. Even though Lung Yihan was only in the middle stage of the golden core realm. If Nie Wanshan had lost to Lung Yihan fair and square, he would not have hated Lung Yihan so much. Because in terms of absolute power, Lung Yihan was no match for him at all. He had relied entirely on his strange stealth skills and sneak attacks to injure him severely. Only then did he win by luck. Plus, the sect protection of Lung Yihan made him very unhappy. This time, he followed Lung Yihan quietly, waiting for an opportunity to kill him. If he made a move, he would definitely be discovered by the pavilion master, because Lung Yihan's body had already been imprinted with the seal of life and death. However, he didn't care because he knew very well that dead geniuses were no longer geniuses. As long as he could kill him, even the pavilion master would not sentence him to death. At most, he would only suffer a temporary punishment, but in exchange, he would regain his glory and status. Given his talent, there was no way the sect would give up on him. However, if he could borrow someone else's hand to kill Lung Yihan, that would be the best. Therefore, he took the positioning disc with him. Although he was only guessing that it might be Lung Yihan, he was not sure. But he would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. Even if it was not Lung Yihan, it would be someone unrelated to him. So what if he ruined his good deed? Senior Brotherly, there really is a positioning disc. At almost the same time, when Chun Hao stepped into the entrance of the 3rd floor, several disciples of Thunder Valley also rushed to the 3rd floor. These people were undoubtedly the ones who knew the most about Fan Fong and Lung Yihan. In fact, they were just speculating out of curiosity. So, after stepping into the 3rd floor, they found a positioning disc in a hidden corner. They really are all guarding the entrance. Only one is in the core safe area. That should be Fan Fong, right? Just leave it there and don't move. Senior Brotherly, can't we help the Sword Sect? Maybe we can get some benefits. Is life more important or benefits more important? We can be curious about this kind of thing, but we can only wait and see. The Sword Sect is strong, and Fan Fong is a super genius, but you can't understand how dangerous Chun Hao is. Although I have only seen the power he displayed when he was a low-level cultivator. Okay, let's go. Our business is to gain experience. Remember, no matter what happens in the future, as long as it has nothing to do with you, it's best not to interfere. For small benefits, you may pay with your life. Oh, how is that possible? 3. Sure by Wei, Changyin, and Yao Anhua. Did something happen to them? Was it Chun Hao or someone else? Impossible. Yao Anhua is in the late golden elixir realm, and Chun Hao is only in the middle golden elixir realm. How could he kill them silently? Fan Fong's face was ugly, and a strong murderous aura spread from his body. His face became ferocious and terrifying. 3 of the 13 communication talismans he sent out had not been answered. What did that mean? The cultivators in the palace in the cave felt Fan Fong's ferocious and terrifying aura, and they all kept quiet out of fear. The disciples who were about to leave their rooms to gain experience stopped dead in their tracks, not daring to show their faces. Some of the disciples of the higher-level sects were fine. Although Fan Fong was terrifying, they had the backing of their sects and were not afraid. But some of the rogue cultivators were scared out of their wits, and were afraid that they would become the target of Fan Fong's wrath. In the world of cultivation, strength was supreme, and killing people was like killing chickens. Especially in this kind of treasure training ground, one could die at any time. Fan Fong, who had arrived here in advance, had bought off dozens of rogue cultivators in the late golden elixir realm at a low price, and they all dared to go to the other 3 entrances. If anyone could find Chun Hao and inform him, or capture him, they would be rewarded handsomely. Hiss! Fan Fong did not waste any time. His body turned into a stream of light and rushed out at an astonishing speed. If it was Chun Hao, he would have been exposed. But at this moment, he was sure that Chun Hao was rushing to the nearest entrance. Even if Chun Hao wanted to escape, there was a certain range. With his half-step nascent soul strength, he believed that it would be easy to find Chun Hao. Let's go and have a look. He must have found the super genius Chun Hao of the star-picking sect. Super genius? He is just the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking, and he has the help of the 7-star Cave Heaven of the star-picking sect. He is nothing compared to Fan Fong. Fan Fong reached the peak of the late golden elixir realm in 2 years with his own talent. Whether he is a genius or not, we will know when we see him. Unfortunately, whether he is or not, he is going to die. Let's go and have a look. Fan Fong is known as a super genius second only to the 8th rank sections. I really want to see him. After Fan Fong flew out of the course safety zone palace, countless cultivators followed him out of the enormous hall. Although they did not know what information Fan Fong had obtained, they knew that it had something to do with Chun Hao. This was because all the cultivators in the hall knew that Fan Fong was looking for Chun Hao. After hundreds of cultivators followed Fan Fong, in a room on the 2nd floor of the palace, a figure muttered to himself. Then, mysterious rays of light rose from his body. Hiss! Who is that? Countless cultivators who were chasing after Fan Fong suddenly saw a young girl in a long blue dress. She had a graceful figure and a black veil over her face. Her speed was astonishing. I don't think I've seen such a beautiful safety zone before. Although the black veil covered the girl's face, one could still vaguely see the outline of her face and her beautiful eyes. Many cultivators were shocked, and their minds were captivated. One obscure aura. I can't even sense her cultivation level. When did such a mysterious girl appear in the cultivation world? A cultivator who was at the peak of the late golden elixir stage was slightly older and had rich experience. He was shocked. With his knowledge, he knew all the disciples who were slightly famous in the cultivation world. Chun Hao pondered for a moment, and his expression gradually turned cold. A surge of fighting spirit also began to soar. Looking at the 3 communication talismans that had already died, Chun Hao took a deep breath and directly took out a communication talisman that was still in good condition. Master, what are you doing? Ito Ta asked, slightly surprised. I want to see the power of a half-step nascent soul stage cultivator. Since I've been discovered, there is no need to continue. If you want to fight, let's fight. Chun Hao's handsome face shone with coldness and arrogance as he said in a low voice. So what if he was famous in the Jiaxing sect? If he wanted to rise quickly, he had to strike in a high-profile way. Men were afraid of fame, and pigs were afraid of being fat. A true powerhouse had to stand at the cusp of a storm and become a true trendsetter who was not afraid of any challenge. After that, Chun Hao directly activated the communication talisman and said, "Fan Fong, right? Wait for me in the safe area." "What? It's really you. Bastard, do you think I will believe you? Let me tell you, no matter where you are, you can't escape from my hands. This time you are dead. Idiot, I want to run. How can you catch me? If you want to waste your energy, then waste it. See you in the safe area. Don't let me wait too long. My patience is limited," Chen Hao said disdainfully. After that, he directly turned into a stream of light and followed the route that had been memorized to the core safe area as fast as lightning. "He's crazy," Itoda said in horror. Chen Hao's tone made him dare not question. But Chen Hao's actions made him very worried. Even if he already knew a lot about Chen Hao, he did not think that Chen Hao, who was only at the middle stage of Golden Core, had the ability to fight against Chen Hao, who was half a step away from Nascent Soul. In his opinion, Chen Hao's confidence was too inflated. One must know that there was always someone better than you, especially Fan Fong, who was not as simple as an ordinary half a step away from Nascent Soul. He was a super genius who could challenge those of a higher level. P.S. I feel guilty and dare not ask for votes. I will definitely speed up the update next week. Definitely. There is nothing I can do this week, especially this weekend. There may be more tragedies in the next 2 days. Everyone, please bear with it. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.